Thank you for joining us, everyone, for the Holy Grail of Healing event. This is the most powerful discussion on the restoration and health of your abdominal and pelvic area, which is the Holy Grail to healing the body. This 4-hour video will give you the most relevant tools, strategies, and techniques on taking personal action in restoring your abdominal and pelvic region back to its original state of vitality. If you enjoyed this Doc of Detox show and want more, you are going to be amazed at the A to Z Wellness Masterclass, which is the first docu-series of its kind. The A to Z Wellness Masterclass has 17 lessons, broke up into 40 videos, which span over 12 hours. In this masterclass, we will review every major condition in the human body and how the medical system views and treats it. And then we will be showing you our way, nature's way, for those of you who wish to take back their power and become the masters of not just their bodies, but their whole life. The day that you no longer consider yourself a patient and hope that you're going to get well, you will become your own practitioner and know that healing is inevitable. Embrace the future of health because it's here. You are the answer you seek. Become the light for your family today. God bless and enjoy the show. And just know that we have live Q&As every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where you can send in your questions on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, or ask them live on all these social media platforms. And if you want to send in your question anonymously, you can do so on the docofdetoxshow.com website. God bless everyone, and let's unleash the authentic you today. Thank you for joining us, everyone, for the #1 strategy for abdominal health and pelvic health. Now understand something. Your abdominal region and your pelvis is the core of everything.
Totally. And this is also going to be the #1 strategy for hormonal balance and immunity. It all goes hand in hand. And we are going to go down the rabbit hole a little bit with you today and talk about the deception that we've had with hormonal balance and immunity.
And understand something. You know what? It just seems all the time in life you almost get it. You almost got it. You know, the promise is always there, but it's never fulfilled. Do you ever get that? And that, if it was, we wouldn't be in this problem. Let's take hormonal balance. Let's first talk about that. So talking about hormonal balance, look at the medical system has made that, okay, the golden goose that laid the egg. They go after everything about hormonal. Well, guess what the natural health system has done? The natural health system is always going out there trying to balance your hormones. And guess what? They're coming in the back door when they should be coming in the front door with information. But guess what? Yes, they're going to help you. Yes, they're going to bring the fire down somewhat. Yes, they're going to balance your hormones somewhat. But guess what? That's not the key to it. Balancing the hormones is all about getting rid of inflammation, getting rid of pain, not managing pain, not managing inflammation, but becoming the master and mastering that. And immunity, okay, so what's the main part of your immune system?
Your bacteria.
It's your bacteria. You do realize that, don't you? That the same bacteria that the medical system are out there attacking all the time, whether it's chemotherapy, whether it's radiation, whether it's antibiotics. Okay, this is all an attack on your bacteria. We're not telling you not to do antibiotics, but you better not do them unless you have a life-threatening situation, or you will be a life-threatening situation. Okay, and understand something. Every time that you do this, guys, you're going to love this. Every time that you take an antibiotic, you kill half of your sperm cell count.
Wow.
So go ahead and do it. I don't know why you're having trouble having babies. Every time you do antibiotics, you are destroying your stem cells. Oh, isn't that just great? Or you're mutating your stem cells into something that could turn on you like a stem cell cancer cell. don't trust me, do your homework and find out that true immunity is about, taking your bacteria to the gym and having the strongest bacteria in your life. I mean, you've got 50 trillion cells.
Yep.
You've got 500 trillion bacteria. And you've got 5 to 7 pounds of bacteria living in your gut. And they're crawling on your eyelids, your face, they're everywhere. You're a walking glob of bacteria. So you go ahead, declare war on your bacteria, and you've just declared war on your whole life.
Just like a muscle, we want to strengthen a muscle, we want to work it out, we want to lengthen, strengthen, and build a strong body. We need to start with the foundation, and that's our bacteria. So we need to take our bacteria to the gym. We need to work them out. We need to do the right things that are going to help them flourish and keep the right ratio of good bacteria to bad bacteria.
Before we start, I want to say this. You can take me to task. I do Q&As every Monday or Friday, as long as I'm not traveling with Abby or with Sarah. And the reality is this. You better start taking your practitioner to task. You better start taking your pharmacist to task. You better start taking your nutritionalist to task. You better start taking everybody to task that you're spending money with, okay? And I'm saying, I want you to challenge us. I want you to help us to be the better part of us, to really do what we need to do. If we're going to be here and we're going to say we're serving you, then let's serve you. So let's get started. So here's the deal. Doesn't matter what you're talking about in your body. You want to lengthen, strengthen, detox, and tone. And remember something. Your abdominal core, abdominal muscles, that's the core of the body. There it is right there. All right? If you do not focus on that, you'll lose all focus.
Totally.
It's not about your biceps, is it?
No,
Abby?
not about the triceps. Most people are always focused on those things when they're at the gym. They're like, gotta get nice and strong. Lots of people are even forgetting about their quads, but even those aren't the most important muscle.
No.
The abdomen is the most important muscle of the entire human body.
And understand something. You know what? You've got to look at your pelvis, okay? Your pelvis, all right? That's in between your legs, if you don't know where it is. You've got to look at your pelvis as being the root. That's the root of the tree. You've got to look at your abdominal muscles as the trunk, okay? So understand something. The root is your foundation. It roots you down so you don't blow away. Okay, and we're talking about hormones here now, aren't we?
Yeah, that's bringing us back to that whole hormonal imbalance debacle that goes on in the medical and natural health world.
Field. You know what? There's one person out there and she sells so much nutrition for hormones. And I'm not saying don't take nutrition for hormones. No. That's not what I said. I'm just trying to tell you, until you get that inflammation under control in your pelvis and in those breasts, then you're always going to be a disaster. And that's that. I don't care how much you take. Yeah, you'll turn the burner down, but you're not going to turn the
Well, and that's the biggest thing.
off.
No, exactly. And that's the thing, too, with all the supplements that you can take. Of course, we want to encourage the hormones to work as best as they can. In today's society, we are dealing with a lot more toxins. So we do need some supplements to encourage everything to work better. But the root of the problem isn't by taking supplements. We need to get to the root of the matter, which is the inflammation and the backing up of the waste that seeps into the from the large intestine into the pelvis,
right down to the cellular level.
Yeah, and this is the thing we see is that mutation in that unhealthier tissue is just causing your hormones to go out of whack and just out of balance because your whole body is trying to adjust from that toxic load.
Well, did you ever play pinball? That's what you're doing to your hormonal system. It's that pinball. Boom, 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 boom. Ding, 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 ding. Boom, boom, boom. And guess what? And your emotions are up like this too.
Yeah.
And then your husband's going or your wife is saying, what's wrong with you? Because it's men and women. And you have mood problems, mood disorders. And then you're going to go and you're going to get depressed. And then you're going to put you on prescription drugs. Oh my gosh. Where does it end? And where does it even begin?
Yeah.
Okay. So they have taken this whole inflammation and they've made it into a hormonal situation. And until you deal with the inflammation, forget the hormones. Not totally. There's things you can take to buffer down, but let's get to the root of the problem. Look at, and that would be your core. That is your abdomen.
That's why we need that to be that strongest muscle of the body because it's involved in everything we do. We need our core to be strong to do everything in life, picking things up, moving things, playing.
Getting off the toilet. getting on the toilet. I mean, most people now, when you get older, you got to buy the toilets that are higher because you can't get your butt down that low enough and get yourself back up because your core is on the floor.
And if that's the case, then you definitely better have one of the squatty potties to lift your feet up if you have a tall toilet, because we're going to talk about squatting later and how important it really is. But
yeah, so now you can't pick up your grandchildren. You can't get in the car and get out of the car. Can't get off the couch and in the couch. Can't get out of bed properly. You got to rock. Got to start rocking. You know, it's all about this. You know, you don't even pick up things with your back. You pick them up with your abdomen. So as soon as your abdomen's gone, then you what happened here? Here's the deal. Take a look at it this way. Everybody out there is being brainwashed to have this totally forgotten, because as long as you forget this, they're making you into a cash cow. And they're selling you off by the pound. So the more loose, the more lax, the more slack that the muscles become in front, the tighter they are in the back. So now you got to go to a chiropractor continually because your back is always tight. Did he tell you that you should clean out your abdomen? Did he tell you that you should tone up your abdominal muscles inside and out? Because your back does not do the lifting. Your back is not for that. And so when you say, oh, I'm busting my back, well, yeah, you are, because your core is on the floor. So even when you get adjustments with your spine, I'm sure they're good to be aligned, but you better align your digestive tract and align the front part of you before the back part of you.
Well, most back pain you really see, especially with our clients when they come in, a lot of it is actually stemming from their intestines. Their back pain isn't even in their back. It's because they're so constipated and backed up.
So I'll make a deal with anybody out there, whether you're local, whether you're international, and watch my Facebook. You'll see when we come different places, and I'll guarantee you, I won't even touch your back first. I'll come in and I'll just work on your abdomen, and you'll tell me your back feels better. And that's because you've got so many adhesions from the inflammation in your abdominal region that it made it all adhesed here. So if you don't have circulation here, circulation goes down, you don't have strength. Hey, how much strength does somebody have when they have no energy?
Not much.
Okay.
One thing I would like to say just about the back pain, I've been having work done on my right side, and Jason went into my spine again. You did it the other day, but he went in, and because I'm a thin girl, we're able to get through my spine through the front, and I actually had adhesions from my abdomen, and it caused a knot to get right in between my vertebrae right by my belly button. And so sometimes that happens just through poor diet over the years. Before I was a really healthy person, I had a similar diet to the majority, right? The standard American diet, the SAD diet. So those lifestyle choices can cause adhesions to form in your abdomen, which can literally go off and choke your spine. So it's not just a matter of going in and getting a nice little adjustment or a quick little massage from a massage therapist.
It's ridiculous.
You need to get in and really go and get to the root of the problems with these things, because they do really root in deeper than we even knew they could get.
Yeah, the bottom line is it's a scar tissue issue. And yes, you can have your spine adjusted. And yes, you should. That's fine, but it's temporary.
Yeah.
If you became the master of inflammation on a mental and physical level, and you removed all the scar tissue from your body, you would be young again. There's not a physical problem, and there's not a disease in the body that doesn't have to do with the scar tissue issue. And that is the bottom line. And so let me just tell you, I mean, and that's why we say, look, you come in here, if we don't blow your mind on the first treatment, don't pay us. Because we're going to prove to you, we need to prove to you, and we need to prove to all the other practitioners out there that they're missing the point. It's a scar tissue issue that becomes crystallized, and then we get calcified, and then we call that old age. We're not getting old. You're getting to become a piece of beef jerky. That's it. So understand, it goes from inflammation, out of control, to what?
To crystallization. We can get scar tissue formation. And then, of course, if the conditions are acidic enough, and we will start pulling calcium from the bones to create calcification.
How many women, how many men have osteopenia? How many have arthritis? How many have osteoporosis? Okay? And I'll tell you something, right now we're on fire. Okay, so the calcium's being displaced, being pulled by the bones, getting caught in the joints, getting caught in the organs, and now you've got physical blocks. When you've got physical blocks, you've got energy blocks. When you've got energy blocks, you've got disease. That's it.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then you get mutation. From mutation, there it is. So there's your domino effect to every autoimmune disease and even cancer. So, where is 85% of your immune system? It all comes from where, Abby?
The belly. It's coming from your large intestine.
And here's the deal before we go any further. So I need to say this, okay? But go to the mall, go to the supermarket, and you will find that 8 out of 10 people, whether they're female or male, they look like they're 3 months to 9 months pregnant. And this is the new generation. Meet the new generation. Now, the more bloated you are, okay, the slower you are in your brain. And you're going to go, he has no right to say that. Let me tell you, I can tell you the science behind it. Because the reality is that your good bacteria, which are 5 to 7 pounds, which are mainly in the large intestine in this area. They're everywhere in the body. That's how important it is, but mainly here, okay? They communicate for every 12 times they communicate, your brain only communicates once. So who's really the brain? Who's the brain of it all? It's your bacteria, not your brain. Your brain is the chemist. It decides on what? What programs you're going to run, what chemicals you're going to dump, what hormones you're going to dump. But who's the brains of this? It's those bacteria that the medical system has decided to attack. I want you to think about this because 85% of all your energy is generated and stored in your abdomen, and it's called the mesentery. And the mesentery is a lining that holds, okay, that holds all your organs in place to get and feed off and store the energy from those organs that, and from your intestines and everything that's going on. So there's the real deal. Abby?
Yeah. One thing I would like to say just about immunity and really protecting our good bacteria, especially with these toxic times, it's just the most important thing is to really understand how they control the body. And even if you look at the large and small intestine and then look at the brain, they actually look the exact same. It's just like gelatinous, coiled up, bunched up goo in both places.
It's cottage cheese.
Yeah, so it's like they literally created an environment that looks the same, just in a different part of the body. So they're just completely communicating. So just think if you were actually able to open that part of your brain and just have conversations with your good bacteria to create what you want.
So now we've got gut-brain disconnection. So there's a disconnection. And that's when people are going, oh, I can't remember that stuff. I'm getting Alzheimer's. No, you're not. The first thing that goes before your brain goes is your bacteria. And that is the golden rule. But guess what? People don't want to do that. You know what? If we were actually to really go in, look after our colon, and we understand the domino effect of unhealthy living, you know what? You could get rid of 95% of all the practitioners out there. But guess what? They'd find other things to do. Because there's always great things to do in the world, but guess what? We feed off of people being sick, not being people well. You understand? We are a sick thinking nation, and that's why we're here. And understand, corporations, they help to really push this through the media, and the media pushes it, and then now we have even natural health practitioners thinking the same way as these corporate junkies.
Yeah, and you even see it in natural health colleges today. They're teaching them about vaccines and the importance of them, the importance of antibiotics and all of these things. Naturopathic doctors are actually prescribing all the things that the medical system prescribes now. So they've really been infiltrated.
So when people say, are you approved by the government? I say, I hope not.
Right?
All right, so that's my thing, okay?
Totally.
So there it is.
Yeah.
All right. So we are an inflammation nation. We know right now that 90% of the population has an autoimmune disease.
Or multiple.
Yeah. Well,
right? If you have one, you're going to probably have more than one.
Well, yeah, you always do. You know, when you have cancer, you think you have one block, one tumor. But if you have cancer, you have 20 to 30 major blocks throughout your whole body. And do people even think about that?
No.
No, they think about that one thing.
They just think of it as one mass.
But
That's
if
all
you were
it
to
is.
get the whole team together, they could take care of that mass. But you got to get the whole team. That would be 50 trillion cells, 500 trillion good bacteria, and then, of course, now we've got to talk you into loving yourself. There should be the deal. That would be the hard one to do. Okay, so 90% of the population has an autoimmune disease. And what does autoimmune disease mean? It means attacking oneself on an emotional and physical level. How well do you talk to yourself? How well do you treat yourself? That's why you have the disease. You can't blame it on anyone else. You've got to take responsibility. And remember something, isn't it the funniest thing? We got 90% of the population having an autoimmune disease, and we got 80% of the population being what?
Overweight.
Overweight. Isn't that great? And guess what? You know what? We're now the minority.
We are.
Now the minority.
I walk into the mall. I was in the mall the other day, and I was just heads turning, and I was just like, I feel so different. Like I didn't fit in. It was like everybody was 3 times as big as me.
Okay, so I just want you to know that corporations have no heart. They have no blood supply. They have no feelings. They have a bottom line. And enjoy your time with your family, because we know that 90% of the population is going to have cancer, heart disease, or diabetes. All right? So this is where we're going. So you might as well just fasten up your seatbelt and get ready, because your family has been sold a bill of goods. They've been sold a health manual that was just to help defeat corporations. And I'm not going to get into it. This is not a conspiracy show. But the reality is if you can't see what's going on out there, then you are so far down the rabbit hole, okay, that you don't even know you're in the rabbit hole. Okay, so we know right now that 80% of the population is overweight. How many people, what about the population being obese?
60%.
60%, and that's
whopping
minimum.
60%. That's over half. Like that should not be a thing. And now the fat, like being fat, has become normal, and that's just not okay. And I say this because it is unhealthy. Everybody is beautiful. Everybody is,
you know what,
gorgeous. But
we
the
shouldn't
thing
even
is
we shouldn't even have to say everybody is beautiful.
Totally.
Because you should already know you're beautiful.
But today we live in a society where everybody is so
It's
sensitive.
Injured. No, they're injured.
Yes.
They're injured. They've got victim mentality.
Yeah.
And you know what? Don't you dare pick on me because I'm overweight. Well, I'm not picking on you, but guess what? Every pound of weight that you're over is a pound of inflammation.
Toxins.
And guess what? Inflammation takes you, and it takes your mood on a roller coaster ride. It takes your health on a roller coaster ride.
Yep.
And you are going to die of a miserable death.
And wouldn't you like to be happy and live your authentic self? And we can't do that until we truly get rid of the inflammation. Even for myself, like 6 months ago, I still had a bit of inflammation. I've really worked on fasting and just cleaning everything up. It's escalated like triple fold, if not more, just with that little, like 5 to 10 pounds of inflammation that went away over the past 6 months. So just imagine how much if you have 70 pounds of inflammation on you. Your spirit,
even 10 pounds.
But your spirit is just so bogged down.
Yeah, well, it's not flowing, that's for sure. And understand, when I say that we will die a miserable death, take a look at your family and friends right now, those that are getting older. Okay, they're suffering. And you know what? If you could change and if you could embrace some of this, and we could get people to really buy into loving themselves and to knowing that you've got to go back to nature and walk away from mankind, because they're not. So we're going to try to get back on track here. But the reality is guess what? Your family's life, okay, depends on whether or not you're going to start looking after you, because it's got to start with you. And once you can hold the line, once you're not putting the junk into the cart and bringing it into the house, then that's going to give them strength. Don't dare buy the junk, and don't dare bring it home and then tell them to stop eating junk. I mean,
one of my favorite quotes, Oscar Wilde, "I can resist everything except temptation." So don't even bring it in the house. Don't tempt yourself.
Make your home a love health zone in all levels. Okay, everybody? All right, so here's the deal. So we know that it's normal to be overweight. We know that we make fat because we have to store the inflammation. We got to store the GMO. We got to store the chemicals.
Yep.
We got to store the emotions that we have never been taught to process. Right? So we need some place to put this, okay? We know that 3 out of 4 children okay, are overweight. We know 1 out of 4 are obese. Are you ready for this? So that means 25% of the population of young children are obese. Good, isn't that just great? Okay, so, but here's the deal. Birds of a feather flock together, and an overweight mommy and daddy, what do they want to make sure they feel comfortable?
Oh, an overweight child.
So what does a toxic parent want? Toxic children. Because, but all of this is done on a subconscious level.
Yeah, they don't know that they want this or that they're attracting it.
Yeah, but they do now. I just said it.
Yeah.
So on a subconscious level, we don't know it, but we want everyone to be like us. I can remember, when I used to toke, if somebody didn't want to toke that was with me, I'd get all upset. I'd want them to do it. Yeah. I remember when I was a born-again Christian, when I was younger, and I was really steeped into it because my father was a pastor, and a friend of mine said that he didn't believe in that, and I got so really upset. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We get caught in these beliefs, and I'm not saying it's wrong to be this way or that way. I'm just trying to tell that we should take a look at things.
Yeah.
We should have our eyes open, okay?
And we have to not want other people to want what we have or what we want. We have to just mind our own business, do our thing,
if you mind
and
your
let
own
people
business,
do their thing. Unless they're harming themselves, then maybe step in. But if they want you to.
Well, if they live in your house, I can understand it. So, you got to keep your home a love zone, a health zone. But, mind your own business, because when you're actually walking the walk, talking the talk, that's when people change. But then you got to hold it, because everybody is still doing the same thing you used to do, and they don't want you to break from the herd.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's move on. So we know that food corporations, right? What do they want you to do? They want you to eat all the time. 3 meals and 3 snacks.
And let's just think about that first before moving on. Food corporation, all restaurants, all companies selling food, everything, all grocery stores, all of these are corporations trying to sell you a product, which is food. Don't look at it as going to the grocery store and, this box of Fruit Loops was designed to make me so healthy. We know that's not true. That box was just designed to sell you a product. It wasn't designed to make you healthy. So we have to look at the corporations that design packaged processed foods. They're just selling a product. It doesn't even need to be food.
And they also know.
Need to put that on the table.
Yep, but these corporations also have done their homework. They know what you don't know.
Lots of homework. They did a lot of market research and studying to get these stats and statistics.
And they know what you don't know. And you know what you don't know? You don't know that you're a robot. You don't know that 90% of your brain is your subconscious, which only holds prominent thoughts. And they know that if they can mention something to you 10,000 times, they can get you to eat poop on a stick. And all they got to do is put a little bit of dark chocolate on it. And I'm telling you that right now, and I know that I exaggerate things.
Enter commercials.
Yes.
Enter
all
watching, advertising
but
on
not
TV.
Just that. But look at your family.
Music,
your family brings it home, and then you'll eat what they eat. You do what they do. So they know how to move the herd to the butchers.
Yeah.
They know how to guide you, and just over here, over there.
They have whole teams designed that have just been working at this for centuries.
So here's the deal. Food corporations don't have a beating heart. So what they want you to do is overeat and eat the wrong things, because then you'll have inflammation. And when you get inflammation, where do you go?
I'm going to probably go see the doctor, because
you're going to Big Pharma.
Yeah.
You may not go to the doctor, but you'll definitely go to the drugstore.
You might go to the pharmacy. Yeah.
Yeah. And
just grab some anti-inflammatories.
Over the counter stuff. But then when you go big time and you really get your groove and trying to kill yourself without knowing it, then you go to the doctor, because he has to prescribe the stuff that's really strong that could be dangerous for you to take.
Right.
Okay, all right. Well, the other stuff is too.
Totally.
But the reality is, over the counter, we know it's toxic. We know it's telling your body to shut down. We know that you may not feel the pain from the inflammation, but it's still going on. Isn't that something? So is that what you want? You want to have a fire in your house, and now they've blinded you, okay, so that you can't see your house burning down. But you're inside of it. I mean, think about that. So now you're off to Big Pharma. What happens after you've been doing drugs for a few years? Well, you've numbed yourself out, but now the pain is getting worse, and now there's mutation, scar tissue formation, and now you got to go what? surgery.
Might have to get some surgery, yeah.
Now you got to get that organ cut out because it's, and what happens to the organ? Well, the fire actually burns it up and mutates it. And you guess what? Then the organ rots. Because soon as the inflammation gets rid of the energy in the organ, when the energy in the organ is gone, the organ kind of dies. Wow. When things die, what do?
They start to rot.
Oh my gosh, there's a clue. So now we know that every disease is the organ rotting. So the organ's actually rotting. So that's why you smell. Oh my gosh, I wondered why I stunk like that. Well, that's because you're rotten. You're rotting to the core.
Spoiled rotten.
Yeah, spoiled rotten. It's not just the poop, okay? Now your tissue is rotting. Okay, and that's what a disease is. Okay, so now let's go down to where we really need to go, the mother of all organs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, let's do it. So we talked about it a little bit already. We were talking about how the mother of all organs houses our immune system. That 5 to 7 pounds of bacteria is all in here, creating that garden of life.
Yeah, and understand something. You're right, Abby. It's the garden of life. So when you have a garden, what do you want? You want the right minerals, and you want the right bacteria, you want the right worms there, not the wrong worms.
Totally.
You want the right bacteria, not the wrong bacteria. You don't want fungus in there.
No.
Okay, the same as the human being.
Yeah, just like the soil, we want it to be organic. We want it to have that biodynamic, right, proper nutrient balance that's going to help us flourish, or the vegetables flourish if it was a garden, right? So this needs to be the healthiest soil that was ever created.
So your large intestine is the mother of all organs. It's the king of all organs. It is death begins in the colon or life begins in the colon, and that is going to be your decision. And meanwhile, your belly's out to here. Okay, all right. Let me tell you something. Santa's not that jolly, okay? So here's the deal. So your large intestine, we know if it backs up, it's the only thing that's going to cause trouble, like a rippling effect to the whole body. And we already know that, okay? So understand, that is a garden. Now, what are you going to do to have the best garden of all? Okay, so your digestive tract is your sewage system. That sewage system is there to create good bacteria. Get it. Sink that in. Every day that you have a poop, you bless the poop, because you want to have 2 or 3 a day. It's got to keep moving. If it moves at a certain rate, you get healthy bacteria. If it moves too slow, you get unhealthy bacteria because you actually choke them off. Do you know the longer your poop stays in you, over the time limit it should, it cuts down the oxygen level, and it actually brings up actual waste products that actually choke the bacteria, so they have to change and morph to live in that unhealthy place. And that's the bad bacteria that the medical system says they need to come and kill, and all you have to do is change the environment within the large intestine, and those bacteria will actually morph back to the good guys again. So if you treat yourself good, they'll be good. You treat yourself bad, they'll be bad. If you treat them bad, you're going to have bad moods, bad sleeps. You're going to have bad days. So understand that it's right back to this. The large intestine is the Holy Grail, all right? So we already said that if you get too many bad bacteria, because here's the deal. You should have 85% good, 15% bad. And if you check over 95% of the population, it's 85% bad and it's 15% good. And that's why we are where we are today. You can't have an autoimmune disease unless you're 85% bad and 15% good. So we've got to understand this, that if that digestive tract, the large intestine part, if that gets stagnated, it becomes a swamp. It becomes a cesspool. Have you ever seen a cesspool or a swamp? What happens? All kinds of bugs come there. What comes first, the mosquito or the swamp?
Well, it's the inner terrain that creates everything, right? Just as Louis Pasteur said, your inner terrain controls the environment, or the environment controls what's going to come to it.
That's right. So we have to understand that the bugs come after, all right? It's just like we talk about this. So you've got a bowl of fruit, and the fruit starts to go bad. How did the fruit flies know that the fruit was going bad? Is there like a fruit fly colony downtown, and they have some kind of alarm? the fruit flies were always living in the fruit. They actually hatch from the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
But until the fruit gets to the point of past fermentation, because fermentation in your bowel, we need that for good bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to putrefaction, that's when, guess what? Those fruit flies come alive. Okay? Did you ever think about that? You need to think about this stuff, guys. So now, when those bacteria go bad, now you've got the gut-brain disconnection, all right? And what did we say? For every 12 times your bacteria speak, your brain only speaks once, right? So let's go back to it one more time. I'm going to repeat it. 50 trillion cells, 500 trillion bacteria live in your gut. Understand something. When you're young and you've got bowel problems, you get sick, right? When you're middle-aged and you've got bowel problems, then you have premature aging. When you're older and you've got bowel problems, it'll kill you. Take a look at older people.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see, you know when they're ready to start leaving the planet. They can't poop right, they can't pee right.
Right.
Okay, they're not doing it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is shutting down. And when things start to shut down, then that's when you're going down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And that's the same thing. They're rotting, right? As they're aging. When we have that constant waste seeping in, we start rotting, and that's why you'll start to smell people differently as they get older. Go into an old folks home and it's gonna smell not very nice.
Like pepperoni.
Like pepperoni, as you always say. Or I mean,
that's the fungus.
Yeah. And
because
then
we're past putrefaction, we're now into fungus. You know, all those age spots, brown spots, sun spots. Well, they're none of that. That's actually the fungus and the putrefaction that's actually in your liver.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming on your hands, it's coming on your face, it's coming everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And understand, when you do GMOs, when you do antibiotics, and you do a lot of alcohol and a lot of processed foods and sugars, what does it do? It activates the yeast in the body to become fungus. And when you lower your vibration and frequency low enough, you turn on the fungus in the body, because you know what the body says? Wow, this person's starting to die. Mm-hmm. So let's start eating them away, like the tree that fell in the bush, right? That you can see the tree gets eaten away. Yeah. And the more fungus you get, the more you're being prepared to go back to the soil. So when you do antibiotics, the frequency is below zero. It actually awakens this fungus that should never have wakened up until you're ready to leave this place. Okay.
And the same thing too with women. Men don't really get it, lucky them, but women will get the fishy smell coming from their vagina. And this happens because of like vaginosis. So for younger women who get it, this can happen because of just really poor diet. Your bacteria is completely offset because of that waste seeping. And even with sexual partners, the wrong chemistry can cause it to happen, especially if they're eating a lot of animal products or dairy and doing the same things. It's going to cause a little bit of a little biological warfare down below. And with older women, they're not eliminating their toxins in the same way we do when we're younger. So because they're not shedding that lining as often, it can cause more tissue to stay in that's rotting. So we have a lot of different techniques that we can do to help encourage that lining to come out with women who aren't shedding it on their own.
Yeah. And just know this, that, you know, you don't really have gum disease, you have bum disease, okay? So that's how much you've reabsorbed your own waste into your bloodstream. And also, you know, when you've got bad breath, it's not something you ate yesterday, it's something you ate like months ago. That you're actually rotting in your tummy, and if you know about a hot air balloon, you know, that hot air makes it rise. Well, that same hot air that's coming down from here from the rot is actually coming up, and it's giving you bad breath. So how in the heck, come on guys, please, let's just use a little bit of logic. How in the heck could your mouth smell like a bum if it wasn't coming from your bum? There might be a clue here, okay? So I want everybody to get this. That's how we have been conditioned, programmed to live in a very painful state, mm-hmm. And because everybody's doing it. Well, you know, there's so many great minds out there that if they would have gotten the answer, they would have found it, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
So it's not like that. So just even, you can even get the wax from your ear and it can smell like your bum. Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, I've been in this business long enough. It can come out your nose and smell like your bum. Your armpits can smell like your bum because you're backing up all this waste. You know as well as I do that people smell.
Everything's connected.
Yeah, people smell. And you know what? When you have a smell like that, I'm telling you, you're rotting. So, you know, let's put it this way. There's a certain way that we speak. Like most professionals would just say, well, you have a disease. Well, I don't want to tell you a lie because that means you're not at ease. But really, a disease is tissue rotting, and that's from the inflammation. And that brought down the frequency, and it's drained the life out of those cells. End of story. All right. So we are an inflammation nation. And understand something, okay? Understand this, that you're going to have a pelvis of pain, all right? Why? When you reabsorb that waste from the large intestine, well, where else would the waste be coming from? Let's pick an organ.
Yeah.
Where's the only organ in the body that looks after waste to get the good bacteria, to get it into the toilet? What is it?
Large intestine.
Okay, so if you've got dirty blood, where does it come from?
The large intestine.
If you've got a dirty liver, where does it come from?
Large intestine.
If you've got any problem throughout the body, it's because the bloodstream was moving all this waste around, and whatever in the body is your weak link.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, I'm not into genetics. It's not true. The genome, there was what they call
epigenetics.
Yeah, it's epigenetics. And epigenetics is caused by the habits that your family does. The way you eat, the way you talk, the way you think. It is not through generations.
No.
And you know what? The medical system know this, but it's their last foothold.
They've actually, I've noticed some studies coming out now that they're actually recognizing it finally, because enough people are coming at them about it. But
well, when the majority of the population out there knows that disease is not caused from genetics, that's when all of a sudden they're going to have this study and go, oh, we just discovered, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so
they always try to trickle it in tiny little spots to be like, oh no, we swear we told you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just like this, right? The only reason why there's more organics on the shelf is because people are demanding it now. Yeah. It's not because they care.
No, never.
Okay.
No.
All right. So a pelvis full of pain. Understand something. When you take a look at a human being, you look at them like a chimney. Okay? So the pelvis is like where you put the wood in the fire. And that's where all the heat comes. That's where the energy first is generated, is down in the pelvis. That's hormone central. And understand something, there's not a pelvis out there that isn't full of crystallization, calcification, scar tissue formation. And when anybody comes to us, we want to open that up. And that's what we're talking about today, is really working on that abdominal and pelvic region, right, Abby?
Yeah, definitely. And what we do, we have our Wolfe Non-Surgical techniques where we actually go in and we really work with the scar tissue crystallization and calcification. The therapies are out of this world. I've never seen or experienced anything like them. But today we're going to be talking about things that you can actually do at home to give you the perfect pelvis and abdomen, and to prepare for the time when you can get the Wolfe Non-Surgical work done.
When you can come here for a personal treatment and training, or come and take one of our courses, or just come and get treatments, or search out one of our master trainers. The reality is, and whether you can take this to the bank, until you come and you experience our body work, you haven't even begun yet. Because unless you're going to unravel the scar tissue that's like beef jerky, which massage doesn't do, chiropractic doesn't do it, and it doesn't. Acupuncture doesn't do it. Physiotherapy doesn't do it. Shiatsu doesn't do it. Do I need to keep going? This is a specific technique to remove calcification, crystallization, and scar tissue formation. Now, do all these other therapies have their place? Absolutely. It's called teamwork makes the dream work. But the reality is they're not getting to the issue in the tissue. And we'll do that. Okay? So let's move on.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about hormonal imbalance a little at the beginning, but we'll just dive into that a little bit more because we're talking about the pelvis.
Sure.
And just we talked about how the seepage of waste can seep from the large intestine into the pelvis, and it creates like a melting pot of toxins and emotions and everything just brewing inside of there, and it is the root chakra, so it's going to get heated like from that chimney, right? So we want to make sure we deal with the problems at hand
And
properly.
and understand in your pelvis, you've got the front, but in the back, you've got your coccyx. And your coccyx is the bottom of your spine. And that is actually, that's where the fuse gets lit. And most people, their coccyx, which is like your compass, it doesn't move anymore. It's frozen with scar tissue crystallization, inflammation from that large intestine dumping waste down into your pelvis. But here's the problem. When you start to get an inflamed bowel, and I know you're going to go, he doesn't know. Yeah, well, yeah, I do. So here's the deal. When you start getting inflammation in your pelvis from the absorption of the waste from the large intestine, which nobody has a bowel problem, but meanwhile, how did it get in there? We'll go back to that. What happens is, if you're ever gone to the fair where they have that big thing and you come down and you hit the bottom part, and then it goes up and it hits the bell, well, guess what? You can get rid of almost 100% of all breast pain, inflammation, calcification, crystallization, and scar tissue by looking after your pelvis. You will not have it unless your pelvis is on fire. And you're going to go, well, I don't feel a thing down there. Well, I'll tell you what. There's not a person that comes here, am I right, that
100%.
has a breast tumor, calcification, crystallization, scar tissue, or just breast pain all the time, that when we go down and work on the pelvis, we find two baby fists right by the ovaries, wrapped right around the ovaries. And when we untie those, they go, oh my gosh, my breasts feel better already. And we never even went up there to even untie the scar tissue and all of that up in the breast area.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. You would never, just going into this blind without the knowledge, you wouldn't think that, hey, I should address my pelvis to fix what's going on up top, but they're directly correlated. So your ovaries are directly related to your breast health. And of course, when somebody comes for breast problems, we would address the breasts as well, because we want to go after the strip of beef jerky under both breasts from the underwire. It literally, you'll feel it. It's exactly the same shape as underwire, and it stops right here, and right on the two edges of where the underwire would sit, it's like burning knives going in. And then of course, where the bra rests, if you're wearing too tight of a bra all throughout the area where the bra straps rest, you're going to find so much fibrotic scar tissue just matted all around. And that's just blocking the lymph flow, your circulation, blood flow, energy flow. And it's going to cause a lot of pain, inflammation, and can cause, from that fibrotic tissue, we can get cysts or fibroids or other things to
not just
form.
That.
So
the big one now is lymphoma.
Yeah.
You're actually getting lymphoma from the backup of your bowel, because that backs up on your liver. But the problem is that lymphoma, your lymph is already moves like molasses. So when all this happens, it stops moving. The armpit smell, or guess what? I don't even sweat from my armpits anymore. Wow, we've got trouble now. Or when I get nervous, I sweat and I'm just wet from my arms. That's because they're in crisis. Now you're in big trouble. So understand that every woman has a pad, like an island of scar tissue right here that blocks off the lymph. Understand something. Your lymph is so important. And when your lymph does not detoxify properly, you're now dumping it into your breast. There's no circulation system going on here.
And that's what I see with a lot of clients, women clients who come in. The padding from underneath, it actually is now spreading all the way into their armpit if they aren't taking the right steps and doing the right protocols. So we always make sure we talk with everybody about the right protocol to get everything corrected and the right external therapies. But it's an epidemic.
If you're a woman, you've got breasts and you wore a bra, we can go right into your armpit and we will find scar tissue up in here. And you know what? People will say, oh, I've got a lymph node that's swollen in here. And guess what we'll do? We'll go in and we'll actually start pulling the scar tissue around it. And guess what? The lymph node comes down. How fast, Abby? Boom.
It's amazing.
Boom.
And
so, you know
I've even felt like cords. Like it feels like I'm grabbing onto like almost like ligaments or tendons, and it's from the armpit in the lymph nodes coming into the breast. That's how that the lymph channel is literally getting calcified, like it's a rope. So we need to take care of this.
And you know what? Just because it's new, I understand you're shaking your head. And guess what? But the other thing is that we're telling you that if you came here and we didn't prove it to you and we didn't unlock that, then you wouldn't pay us. Now, why do we do that? Because it's too new. Who would have known? Nobody talks about this. You tell me one therapist that you've gone to that said it's a scar tissue calcification, crystallization issue. We're the only ones that I know of in North America that are beating the band right now. We're going. Why do you think we travel the world, teaching other therapists to do this? Okay, and
to get the word out.
We got to get the word out because that's the issue. Every practitioner out there has been sucker punched unless they're taking scar tissue apart, putting calcium back into the bones, or melting the crystallization. Okay, I hope it feels good because you're just getting a little stroke because that's all that's happening. Because we need to get down to work because that's where the aging comes in. That's where the not at ease disease comes in. So let's talk about now what goes on down in the pelvis a little bit.
Yeah, let's go back downstairs.
Let's go downstairs. Yeah.
All right, should we talk about the uterus a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
All right, the home of our very first home, everyone's first home, the womb. With the uterus, we see a lot of different things going on. We can get fibroids in the uterus.
Swelling, thickening is the biggest thing.
It.
Big thickening of the tissue because of the inflammation.
Yep.
You keep getting layer on layer of this scar tissue trying to protect it.
Yeah, and then we can get the endometriosis forming from the uterus, which they say is endometriosis skin coming out of the uterus, creating this webbing of endometrial cells across the pelvic floor.
No.
That was my dramatic description of what endometriosis is.
Yeah, I would really like to have somebody challenge me on that one.
Yeah. It's scar tissue.
Yeah, it's scar tissue.
I mean, that's what it's just webbing of scar tissue going across the pelvis.
Yeah, and it's a webbing. And then guess what? If you don't get on the endometriosis, now you got the fibroid, which means that we can still go in there. Or you've got the camel's hump. Want to talk about the camel's hump?
Yeah, the camel's hump. We see it in pretty much everybody.
I don't have a camel's hump.
I don't either. But for clients who come in, the majority of them will have it unless they've been really practicing good health and good diets. But what happens is over time with the inflammatory lifestyle and the seepage of the waste, like we've been talking about, into the pelvis, we get inflammation of the actual pubic bone. And over time, we get layers and layers of scar tissue forming over the pubic bone and crystallization, and it can calcify. So you get it literally, if you feel down and you push your hands over your abdomen down to your pubic bone, it should be hard to feel it.
Yeah,
but some people's it's like boop, like it's the
you'll
actual hump.
You'll hit the ledge, but if you come around this way from right to left, you'll have this cupping. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care how much it's sticking out. How long would it take us? 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and we'll have it smooth again.
Yeah.
So it's not a bone.
It's not. It's bringing down the inflammation and then taking care of the scar tissue formation and making that into healthy tissue again, melting the crystallization and bringing that displaced calcium back into the bones.
And how do you do that? Well, we know that the heat is on with inflammation, but the way we get rid of inflammation is increase the circulation and bring up the temperature of the tissue, but it's a different type of temperature where we raise the frequency. Yeah. You raise the frequency and you bring the temperature up. Or you can bring the temperature up because your cells, every individual cell has a fever. Every cell is having a fever because it's having a healing crisis, trying to burn off the viral, the bacterial, the fungal that's hitting it so that it can stop it from mutating. Every cell is having a fever. When you've got inflammation, it's called a fever state. So when you have a fever, your child has a fever, then we have a body fever, then they're in crisis. But that's going to help strengthen them if you do the right things. But as long as you stay in a fever in your pelvis too long, you drain the energy from the cells, you disturb the mitochondria, which disturbs the ATP production, and then the energy eventually leaves. The cell loses its oxygen and nutrition, and if it does that by about 30%, okay, and it does it for an extended period of time, it must become a cancer cell to save its life. And guess what? Every one of these situations is causing a physical block. And when you create a physical block, whether it's crystallization, calcification, or scar tissue formation, tumor, fibroid, cyst, this is all what goes on down here. There's a lot going on. And when you do that, you are blocking energy. When you block the energy flow, like the lymph flow, the blood flow, and also your spirit flow, then you're going to get a lot of disruption down here because energy's got to flow. And if it doesn't flow, it stagnates. If it doesn't stagnate, it mutates. So we got to get rid of those physical blocks so that we don't have any energy blocks, so that we can bring on the healing.
Definitely.
Right? Okay.
And just think of how much energy you're exerting trying to heal these physical blocks without the right measures needed. So with what we do, the therapies that we provide, we're going in and getting rid of these physical blocks very quickly and effectively and creating a very beautiful healing experience. If we're not taking care of the physical blocks with the right techniques, then we're exerting so much energy continually trying to break it down.
How does it feel to feel helpless? How does it feel to feel hopeless?
Exhausted.
How does it feel to have despair? How does it feel to believe that you don't have the intelligence to take your life back? Well, that would be the majority of the population. Okay.
And so many people are struggling with chronic fatigue, brain fog, all of these things. It's because you're not getting the right energy flow.
They're just labels. Understand something, everybody. Nobody has a disease. Everybody's got a symptom because they weren't looked after properly by a good practitioner. You can't give what you're not. The medical system has given us all these different labels, and they're coming out with new ones every day. Don't you just feel like you're choking with them? They're just labels. So when you come in with a label to us, we go, good, that tells us where the problem is, but now we're going to get the whole body involved, but we're going to go into that local area, and we're going to show you in the next hour how you aren't going to die, how you are not going to continually suffer, how you're going to take your life back, and that's the bottom line. If we can get rid of your doomsday belief, that's the big part of it right there.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Getting out of that state of mind where we think the end is always coming, and just know that everything's going to be beautiful, because it always is.
Let's talk about ovaries, cysts, and baby fists.
All right. Sounds good. So the ovaries, we were talking about the baby fist that we find, and it's right in the corners of the pubic bone, and you'll find it on everybody, males and females, and with men it's normally closer to their prostate. And they're just two baby fists of scar tissue. And we go in and we open them up, and it's completely freeing. It feels like you have the hips you had when you were a teenager again once those are released.
Did you hear what we said? We're going to go in there, and you're going to have the hips that you had when you were a teenager. You're going to have any joint in your body that you have when you were a teenager. You know what? We have people that will come here, and they will actually opt in, and they will stay with us, and they will get 20 treatments. And in 10 to 20 treatments, we can take a person's body and bring it back to their 20s. We can take somebody with a cane that they get rid of it, a walker. We can get people out of a wheelchair. Understand, these are big statements, but they're not big statements. They're not big for us. Okay? They're not.
Yeah. So whether it be a knee problem, a hip problem, or you have fibroids or cysts, we can address everything.
And every 2 months, we're in a different part of North America. And we're doing trainings, and there'll be anywhere from around 20 to 30 people at the trainings, but we'll have up to a dozen people staying at the hotel during that period where they get a discounted rate to stay, don't they?
Yep.
All right, and we're talking about 4-star resorts here.
Beautiful resort.
And you come and you get a treatment every day or every other day, or you take a day off, but by the time that you leave, you got your body back. And that's what we talk about, and that's what we deliver.
We also do the personalized treatment and trainings here in Kelowna or to go. So we travel to anybody's hometown if they want us to come out there, and we train the family on how to do the therapy. So if you're wanting to learn how to do it, just to work with your family on each other.
Or even the perfect pregnancy.
Yeah, amazing. The perfect pregnancy is, I'll talk about that in a second, but with, for instance, families with a lot of athletes or something, I just think about back in the day, my parents spent so much money on massage and chiropractic and everything on trying to fix my body so I could perform to my best of my ability with my sports. So just being able to correct your kids' problems, that's the most amazing thing ever. I feel like that would be the most empowering thing for a family, to just be able to work with each other, and just, it's amazing whenever we get to do that.
How would you like to not live with an injury? How would you?
Yeah.
So you think you need to?
You think you have that need?
How crippled are we today? All you got to do is, if you want to go to the mall about, let's say, 1, 2 o'clock, that's when all the people that are crippled come to shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's because, that's by the time they get there.
Yeah.
You go stand at a mall and you're going to see wheelchairs, canes, people coming and limping in, people waddling, somebody holding somebody to try to get in there so they can go do a little shopping. I mean, all of this is just...
does not need to be a thing.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And just even think like, oh, a little knee injury could eventually led to an ACL surgery. You could have stopped it right at that first injury, got rid of that scar tissue. They never would have had a knee injury after that one treatment. It's amazing.
Yeah. And the other thing is we've said it a million times and we'll say it again. If you have to go to, if you think you have to go to surgery, come to us. And if you go to surgery, we'll refund your money.
Yeah.
That's it.
And just to talk about the perfect pregnancy before we get back to ovaries and baby fists and things like that. Yeah. Perfect pain-free pregnancy is a course that we do. It's a 5-day course, and we train families who are wanting to get pregnant or who are already pregnant to have the perfect pain-free pregnancy. We also train midwives, or we'll do Lamaze classes. They'll bring us in to do the training so that we're just really want to get everybody involved in the world of pregnancy and birthing to incorporate all of these amazing techniques so that women don't need to go through all of these struggles that they are going through.
It's not true.
It's so unnecessary. The morning sickness, the pain, the inflammation, the food cravings, the tight hips, the sore knees, the swelling of the joints. None of this needs to be a thing.
You've been taught that everything amazing must come with pain and struggle. And to have a baby, you got to go through hell and back. And how would you, but listen, I know that some of you are programmed that way and you're going to want that anyway. But for those of you who would like to have heaven on earth pregnancy, okay, that's what we can do for you. And we know we can. We've done it for thousands already, and you can have it if you want it.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for everybody out there who hasn't already taken on the course and incorporated that into their life to have the perfect pregnancy. Then definitely jump on it if you're looking at getting pregnant soon, because why not make it easy on you?
Absolutely. All right, and then there's ovaries, okay, and there's a whole nother story here. We already said that you can find the baby fists right where the ovaries are.
Yep.
But one of the things that people don't realize is, and you won't know it unless you have somebody like Wolfe Deep Tissue Therapist who does non-surgical, because believe it or not, and I know that a lot of people go, there's no way. Well, I'll tell you what, the technique that we have with our elbow, we can feel things that an x-ray can't pick up. Yeah. We can feel things that an x-ray can't pick up. We can feel if it's a cyst, if it's a crystallization, if it's a calcification, if it's scar tissue, if it's like a mass with scar tissue with calcification or crystallization. We can tell exactly what it is. And you'd be surprised, I'd say about 1 out of every 3 women that we find small cysts or even larger ones, okay, around the ovaries.
Definitely.
Abby?
Yeah, all the time. And it's really, when you work with them,
cyst is
it's like
a pustule, guys.
Yeah.
It's a pus collector.
Yeah. Just little infection collector.
Yeah.
Because of all the seepage of the waste. So it's just like locks it down to protect your ovary from getting something worse.
Yeah.
So it's just a little safety mechanism that sits right on it or wraps around it. You never know. Depends how long it's been there and if we haven't addressed it.
What's protecting it?
So
it's
protected by this little casing of scar tissue. So it like wraps itself around it. So when we work on it, our elbow techniques that we have allows us to go in and get through that scar tissue casing. And then a lot of the times the cyst will just pop.
Yeah, and it doesn't pop like pain.
No.
And it just kind of dissolves and goes away.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody goes, oh, wow, what am I going to do? Well, what would that do to me? Would it poison me? No, your body carries away, because what we've done is we've opened up the whole area.
Oh, yeah. Circulation is like optimal in there right now.
It probably was maybe 20%, and we brought it up to 85%. So it just goes, okay, gone. We took care of that.
Took care of it.
No physical blocks.
Yep.
No physical blocks, no dams.
Yep.
Got no dams.
You
You're
can
not
move
dammed
out properly.
Yeah.
And it's already in an area that's like a exit exit pathway. So it's very easy for it to get out of the body in that area. And then a couple other things that we would suggest for anybody just to encourage the healthiest pelvis possible is we can do a couple extra internal therapies that really help to nourish and regenerate the tissue of the actual vagina internally. And then the external therapies and pre and post care things we're going to show today is going to ensure you have like the healthiest pelvis ever.
And I want you to understand something. When you've got a physical block somewhere, otherwise when you have a disease somewhere, I want you to understand that you're in a damn mess. Okay? You're dammed up, and it's creating the mess. It's creating the backup. Okay? So never forget that. You're in a damn mess. Okay? So it's just like a beaver dam. Okay? You got a beaver dam here. Depending on how many beaver dams you have along the circulatory path will depend on how much stagnation, how much backup you're going to have, how much flow slows down. It's all about flow. And if the flow slows down, then the energy goes down. If the energy goes down, then that's when we get these critters we don't want.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's get to the damn fallopian tubes next.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
So the fallopian tubes aren't going to have too many problems going on with them in things that you'll notice in your actual health. You're not going to be like, oh, my fallopian tubes hurt.
Well, you will feel pain.
You can feel them, but...
You can feel them.
No, I mean, unless you have something really happening. Like, I've never really been like, oh, that's got to be my fallopian tube.
Did you notice I said you can feel them?
Yeah,
I'm like me.
I was trying to be like, just going with it. I'm like, how dare you? How dare you think you can feel your fallopian tubes?
Well, I know enough women that do.
No, you totally can feel. You can feel them, but if you have scar tissue wrapped around your fallopian tubes, you're going to have pain. If you've had an ectopic pregnancy and they had to go in there to take out the fetus, then you might have scar tissue even inside the fallopian tube a little bit. And that's going to choke things off both ways, if it's wrapped around it or inside of it. So you're not going to have that proper flow. You might have difficulty getting those eggs to come through. So with the therapy, we can unravel that wrapped up scar tissue around the fallopian tube.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how fast.
So Dr. Wolfe can really feel his fallopian tubes.
That's right. Yeah, I can. I can lasso a bladder with them. Okay, all right. Yeah. So on to bladder.
Yeah, there we go. Nice.
Skitter scatter.
Like
Let's
that.
talk about the bladder.
My favorite organ.
So let's understand something, and we're gonna go through this a little bit down the road here in this series, but let me just say this. When it comes to bladder problems, we know that you did not drink enough water, probably wasn't structured water, and that's really that cause, and the other cause being you're absorbing your own waste, and the waste that the bowel is supposed to look after, it has to be looked after by the bladder. Understand, you reabsorb this waste, you don't drink enough water, has to go through the kidneys, got kidney irritation, inflammation, dehydration, okay, and you never should, whenever the pump is running and it's a water pump and there's no water going through it, the pump burns out. You'll never burn out a kidney because you drank too much water. I don't know who made that up. It was some doctor that hardly got trained about anything, and he just kept saying it, and he told enough doctors that told enough doctors that told enough people. So now, the next thing is that when we get this waste that comes through the kidneys that goes into the bladder, it is heavier. Well, okay, is poo heavier than pee? Yes. Poo's a solid, pee's a liquid. So we can get all the pee coming through our bladder and it's just going to be fine. No problem. It was built for that.
Yeah.
Start pooing into your bladder and find out what happens. The sediment will settle at the bottom of the bladder. And that's the God's truth. It settles at the bottom, and guess what? With poo, you get what? Bacteria?
Yeah.
Chances are it's not good bacteria.
No.
But if it's there, because it went the wrong way. So now the bacteria that's inside the bladder that's attached to these poo particles that you don't believe that are in there are actually irritating and inflaming the bottom of your bladder. When you get inflammation, you go into contraction. That's what we do. When we get inflamed, we contract. So your bladder contracts and it continually contracts until the inflammation,
to force that out of it. It's like contracting to try to get it out, but it just can't.
And to protect itself.
Yeah.
Every cell that has inflammation contracts and it gets thicker. Did you know that? Your cells get thicker. So if you stay inflamed in a certain area, your cells get thicker and thicker. They don't allow the nutrition in. They don't allow the toxins out. Now, this thickening is happening in the bladder. So what's happening is your bladder's getting smaller because it's contracting down on itself, and it's like a grape that becomes a raisin. So now you're unable to actually hold urine. And when you start to hold a little bit of urine in the bladder's irritated because it doesn't want to stretch out. Because if I had inflammation in here, I tried to stretch my arm out. I can't. You know, you can't do that.
Hurts a lot.
So it doesn't want to do it. So that's why you get up in the middle of the night, you go and you trip down this is the fourth time you've been up tonight. You get to the toilet, right? You go pee.
Little
3
dribble.
drops, just a few drops come out. And it's all because that's how much irritation you can handle, because you're already inflamed. Yeah, but I don't feel I have inflammation in there. Well, you do. Okay? So this is what causes bladder problems. And with cystitis, again, cystitis is irritation, inflammation. Yeah, it could be because really aggressive making love for women. But it is because there's usually a bowel problem that's behind that.
Yeah, and the back door is so close to the front door for women. It's an easier gateway to access than it is for men. So you will see women with urinary tract infections or bladder infections a lot more frequently than with men. And even so it can be just from seepage of waste, because the lining of the vagina is right by the lining of the rectum. So of course it can just seep in that way. Wiping the wrong way can cause E. coli bacteria to get into the urinary tract. And then of course with sex, even just the action, if they were constipated, and the action of sex is going to cause some poop to move. It's right there.
If you're gonna, it's like a mud puddle, right? Yeah. The water looks clear as soon as you stir it up. And then if you've got like a leaky gut, that means that the actual lining around the sigmoid, which is the last 4 to 6 inches of your bowel, is already got inflammation. Where there's inflammation, it's like a screen door, and then you've got this banging going on. You got the poo particles going through the screen door, getting into.
Fine, I'll go over there, and they just go and float over there. They don't want to give you a bladder infection. They're just moving where you're forcing them to go.
Hey, when the heat's on.
Yeah.
Okay, so so you really got to look at that, and then understand you've got your bladder, right? And then you've got your uterus and your ovaries, and then you've got your sigmoid colon behind it. So there's like a sandwich effect going on with the ovaries and the uterus and the fallopian tubes, because the bladder's sitting more up front and a little higher.
Exactly.
So that's why we call that an ovarian uteral sandwich.
Yeah, or a prostate sandwich.
It's a prostate sandwich. Yeah.
And so if you have an inflammatory bladder and an inflammatory bowel, you're going to have an inflammatory sandwich with your reproductive organs as well.
That's right. Okay.
So supersize me.
Yeah. So then those bells will be ringing upstairs.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to feel that pain throughout the whole body.
Yeah.
At that case.
Okay.
For sure. So some other conditions that can happen with the bladder, of course, can not just infections. We can get urinary retention, incontinence.
Well, come on. Look at incontinence. Okay, so go to Costco. Anybody there, go to Costco. They have a whole aisle given towards men and women now. I can't believe this. Every different size. So that, you know what, they've did their market research. They figured out that 70% of the female population over 50 is dripping. Okay, that the 50% of the male population is dripping, and some of them are actually pooing. So now we get a whole aisle so that we can be on the go and just fill up our little Depends and change when we get home.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too with men. A lot of the times, because their prostate is so inflamed that they can't control their bowel or their bladder properly.
So every time that you bring more dysfunction into your life, you are letting these corporate people, give you answers that aren't answers. They're not even Band-Aids. No. Okay, so
they're just they're just feeding you what they want.
Yeah, if you're wearing Depends, you are already crippled. Okay, you just don't have the wheelchair yet. Okay, it's coming for you.
So
it is.
Well, it's true. I wish it wasn't, but it is true.
Yeah.
It's the fact of the matter. But like we were saying, with we're going to get to prostate problems too. We talked a lot about women's health in the pelvis, and men can have just as many problems down below as women. Might not have as many bells and whistles, but you can have Like what is prostate cancer right now?
Well, prostate cancer is almost number one
It
right
is
now
almost
in
number
cancer. And it's supposed to, are you ready for this? You're going to love this. It's supposed to go up by 40% every year. I know the population's getting older, but the reality is this. We eat worse.
Yeah.
We eat more garbage.
More chemicals.
We don't cleanse, and also men, what do? Okay, they hold on to things. And as soon as they get a prostate problem, they usually have an erection problem. So then what happens is then they're not a real man. Then they have an emotional problem. Then the emotional problem gets locked into the pelvis, and now they really can't get it up.
Totally.
So it becomes a vicious circle, emotionally, physically, and all of this can be turned around, okay? I won't talk about it, but we have a product that, just say that this doesn't have to be, okay? All right, we won't talk about that today. Just know this, that if you don't want to have any of these problems, just call us. That's all you got to do. You know what? It's not because we're amazing. It's because your body's amazing.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's what we were designed to come down here to do, or our bodies were. We were designed to come down and enjoy this amazing adventure.
Yeah.
And this is our vessel and our vehicle to do that in. So we got to take care of it. And it's going to take care of us if we take care of it right.
And let me just put it to you this way. You can have a prostate problem that you can hardly even walk, that you feel like you've got a bowling ball between your legs. And if you were to come here and we were to do one treatment on you, one Wolfe Non-Surgical treatment, you'd be walking out of here without any pain. Now, how do you do that?
It's easy.
Okay.
I can show you.
Let's game on, okay? Bring the challenge on to us.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the abdominal effect of unhealthy living. So now what we're going to do, now that we talked about all this, we're just going to swing back to the colon.
Yeah.
Okay.
The mother of all organs.
That's right. So
Home to your immune system.
That's it. Are you done yet?
And I had a couple others, but
okay,
I'll stop.
Right. Okay. So anyway, so what we go is fermentation's normal.
Yep.
But when you get into putrefaction, that's not good. And then when putrefaction goes into stagnation, then you get into inflammation. Now you start wearing the lining down and you start absorbing what you shouldn't. That gets into your bloodstream, causes a bloody mess.
Yep.
Then what that does is then causes the backup on the liver.
Yep.
Then the liver you get chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. Then you get gallbladder issues.
Yep.
Then what happens is that during that whole time your lymph is getting backed up. We do know that the lymph dumps right into the large intestine, but it can't dump through the walls and the lining of the large intestine if it's got incrustation of mucus on it from the inflammation, right?
Yeah.
So now the lymph system's backing up. That's not the big problem yet, though.
No.
Because now the liver can't handle the problem that the bowel gave the liver, so the liver passes it over to the kidneys, and the kidneys can't take it anymore. So now you've got kidney problems. You think you have adrenal problems, but they're getting fried out from the inflammation. And now the bladder is now getting infected, like we said, and it's contracting on itself, and now you've got urination problems, right?
Yep.
So then what do you get? Well, now you're on fire, so your body then starts retaining water. So you start getting a rounded face. You get water retention in your legs, your feet, your hands, and your ascites in your abdomen.
Yep.
Okay, so now you've got the puffball syndrome. And that's what we have out there is puffball syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that's overweight looks like a round puffball. They don't have cheekbones. They don't have any really structured looks anymore. Everybody's just this round ball look, right? So now you've got all this water retention, but now you've got lymph backed up. So when your lymph even backs up more, then we get into so much crystallization, scar tissue formation, and you're pulling all that calcium out of your bones.
Yep.
So this is why when people go on a weight loss and they might not even eat a great diet, but they eat less food, they're not as toxic, they lose 10 pounds in the first week, and it's just water.
Yeah.
Because when you've got a forest fire, you got to take water to it. When the fire comes down, you don't need as much water, so your body allows the water to go.
Totally.
So it's all about the water retention. And then if none of this gets looked at, then you start having diarrhea problems. Then you go from constipation to diarrhea. And guess what? You get diarrhea because you're so constipated. So the only time you get diarrhea is when you're constipated because you've got a bad bacteria or a fungal problem or a parasitical problem. You'd never have that if the environment was strong. So everything is about the terrain. If your terrain is healthy, you're going to be healthy. So it all comes back to the large intestine.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they all tell the brain, you got to help us. Because the large intestine, if it shuts down and goes into a coma, it's going to take the rest of your body down.
Totally. And the thing too, when all of this happens, all that inflammation, all that going on, it's going to go after your weak links of the body. So people always wonder, well, we had the exact same symptoms, everything, we did the exact same thing in the same family, let's say that, right? Because their genetics are the same. Their lifestyles are the same.
Habits.
So this person's going to feel it in their neck. This person's going to feel it in their knee. This person's going to feel it in their pelvis. And that's all because the weakest link is going, or sorry, the inflammation and everything is going and attacking that weakest
link. And you can
link.
get 10 people in the same family, eating the same way, living together, and guess what? Certain emotions trigger certain things in the body to go wrong or right. Okay? So even though we're all family, we all have different personalities. But we have the same rituals and habits. So we kind of have the same conditions, except you're going to die of cancer. I'm just going to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's even like if you look at little Susie, mom didn't give her enough attention today, so her heart's going to be a little sore today. But,
that's right.
But Bobby doesn't really care what mom does and minds his own business, so he's not going to feel any pain.
Because Bobby's learned how to protect himself when mommy doesn't want to give the love.
Exactly.
And he says, I just don't need it. But Susie says, I can't live without it. So Susie's going to have a heart problem, or she's going to have a breathing problem. So we talk about all this throughout the whole A to Z Wellness series, our master series, which this is part of, right?
Yep, totally. And this is the long, more in-depth version. In the masterclass series, we do a demo of our pre and post care, just more of a quick version so people can see it. And then this one, we're really diving in and explaining in great detail why you need to do absolutely everything.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So understand. So the large intestine, the mother of all organs, it's the holy grail of healing. It becomes a cesspool swamp. Then your blood gets dirty. Okay, then your liver gets sluggish. Then you stagnate in your lymph system, right? Okay, then you start getting swelling in your breast. Your armpits start to stink. Your groin stinks. Okay,
that's where that padding starts to kick in.
Yeah, and then you feel underneath your armpit and you think, wow, I'm even fat under here. But it's not fat.
And you might even feel your neck's a little bit more swollen.
But it's not fat.
Your groin's a little bit more puffy than it normally is. That's all lymph congestion.
It's all lymph congestion. That's right. Okay. So then after that, then the kidneys, like we talked, the bladder, and then the water retention, okay?
And full congestion.
And then everything goes to the weak link. So did you ever notice when you're tired, things pop up, don't they? Every time, oh man, every time I'm tired, every time you know, so whatever the weak link is, it's going to go there, all right?
And that's where we come in with the deep tissue techniques, because we can go to those weak links and increase the health of that tissue. That's what we do. We don't go in and we're not just like giving it some love like a regular massage. We're actually going in, and what we do is we take the muscle fibers. There's no deep tissue
like our deep tissue.
There's nothing like it.
Let's make that clear.
We actually, if you look at muscle fibers as if they were open like this, as they're healthy fibers. What we are going after is the scar tissue that's dehydrated like so, or even balled up that it's so dehydrated it forms a knot. So we actually work at the tissue, opening it up to bring it back to that healthy tissue.
Open the fiber.
Yeah. And then we melt the crystallization. Sometimes you get crystallization just like all lined through the tissue. And then the displaced calcium as well. We're delivering that back into the bones. And that is going to bring that weak link to a regular link in your body. It's not going to be weak anymore after that.
Show me a fibroid, show me a tumor, show me a swollen lymph node, and then give us a few minutes and tell us what you think. And that's how that is. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start talking a little bit more about the different colon problems that people have. So yes, this is all about the abdomen, and this is all about the pelvis, but we're here to make sure that when you're talking to another practitioner out there and they're giving you some BS, dysfunctional belief systems, you're going to be able to go, no, that's not true. 1 and 1 are not 11. 1 and 1 are 2, and I know how to poo. Did you ever notice that in health it's like finding Waldo? Did you ever hear about that? Finding Waldo?
Where's Waldo?
Where's Waldo? You can't find him. You can't find Waldo. It's just like this. Of all the organs in the human body, which one gets attacked the most?
I would say the large intestine.
Okay, so the large intestine gets attacked the most, and meanwhile, it's the holy grail of your life. It gives you life, it breeds life, it builds life, and we attack it. And the thing is I understand this, that we've been programmed to attack it, but guys, if you don't get this, okay, your large intestine, when it's falling down and out, you're down and out. When your large intestine is falling down and out, your energy is down and out. Your immune system is down and out. Your sex drive is down and out. Your mood is down and out. I mean, what else can I say?
Well, I mean, you could say a lot of things about the large intestine and what we really store in there too.
We store all the thoughts that we don't want anyone else to find, because no one's going to go looking in our
poop.
That's right.
And that's where Waldo is hiding.
That's where Waldo's hiding.
Had to bring that back around.
Okay. So the deal is truly though.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find good health, but it isn't if you would just honor, love, respect, and protect that large intestine. So let's talk about the large intestine. Okay. Let's talk about what a normal large intestine looks like. And guess what, guys? The only place you're going to see it is on the diagram, because there is no normal large intestine. You can take a look at a baby that just born, their large intestine, and you'll see it's already twisted. Do you know why? Because mommy got twisted, because daddy was twisted, because the more stress that mommy and daddy create, even when the baby's in the womb, the bowel goes into spasm. The bowel goes into lockdown. Look at. We are so affected by our parents the minute we get here.
Yeah.
The minute we enter that womb.
And that's why the perfect pain-free pregnancy is so amazing, because we actually will train you and teach you different techniques to keep your mind in balance, and you're not going to have those same thoughts that are going to run through your mind if you didn't have the training that will cause that colon of your baby to be twisted, because your mind won't be twisted.
So what two sectors of the population have the worst bowels?
What? The elderly?
Young children.
Oh, I went with
and the
first.
elderly. Young children and the elderly. And the elderly is the worst, okay? Because they're all
numbed out.
Well, they're dehydrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're numbed out from the drugs.
Yep.
And also, they don't eat well.
Nope.
Most of them do not eat well. I'm not trying to pick on you, but you don't.
No. And they're eating a lot of breads, crackers, cookies with their biscuits and coffee. And I mean, if they're in a home, then we know that they're getting the worst nutrition out of anybody.
Poisoned.
Yeah.
If they're in a home, they're being poisoned. And I'm not saying every home. I'm just saying 99.9% of all of them.
Unless it's like a private one, anything that's government regulated
Anything
is
government
definitely
regulated.
not
That
going to
means
be.
If it's government regulated, the government works for the farmers, for big pharma, so we know who's there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, all right. No enema bags there, baby.
No.
Just X-Lax.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about a normal large intestine, like I said, the way you see it in the diagram is the only place you're going to see it, because people do not have normal large intestines. Let's go to a large intestine that has spasm. As you can see in this diagram, okay? When you start to get spasm, you get spasm because of inflammation. And most of the time when you get spasm, you get it in the descending part and the sigmoid part of your large intestine. Why? Because you didn't drink enough water to get the logs to the mill. The mill would be the toilet, but there wasn't enough water to keep the moisture, and you're not eating enough fiber to have it nice and smooth, and so it can just slide out. By the time it gets there, it's like dried up, and then it gets caught and stuck. And when the waste gets caught and stuck in the last probably 6 to 7 inches of the large intestine, the bacteria go bad, because remember, everything, your whole digestive tract is like an assembly line. Everything must move along at the proper time, and if not, then things become dysfunctional. Those good bacteria become bad bacteria. They give off what's called endotoxin. The endotoxin actually inflames the lining of the intestine, and then it causes that stricture. And that stricture can happen, and it can be anywhere from 1 inch, or it could be actually about 6 inches in most cases, 6 inches long. So it tightens down on itself, and that's what we call a spasm. So until we get rid of the inflammation. Now, did you know that that's always going to be there? That it's never going to leave? Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it is. Guess who it is? Me to the rescue. Abby to the rescue. We can go in there with our elbows, and we have a technique that we can actually
open that
take
back
that,
up.
open that stricture up, and return it back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
You heard what I said. So there's going to be people out there that are actually going to pass away because they can't get their poop out anymore. And all they had to do was come and see us and let us untie the knots, get rid of the scar tissue issue, and they would have the poop of a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the bottom line. So then once you go from, so what you're doing is you're backing up that waist all the way around. So it's just like a traffic jam.
Totally.
So everything gets backed up. And you can back it all the way around the large intestine and back it up right into the small intestine. And that's where you get the problem, because if you back your poop up into the small intestine,
you're going to get SIBO, they call it, but they call it small intestinal
overgrowth.
Bacterial overgrowth, or we call it bowel obstruction.
Yeah, so we call it small intestine.
That's what it really is.
Bowel obstruction.
The bowel obstruction causes the bacterial overgrowth.
Yeah. So the physical block creates the bacterial block.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to move on to colitis. Now, understand something. With colitis, the stricture's even tighter. There's more inflammation, and you've backed up the waist in the descending colon, as you can see in the chart. Mm-hmm. It's backed up, and now it's ballooning. But it's so thin that nothing's going to get out. And the only time that something comes out with colitis is when the body says, okay, we're in crisis. We backed up on the liver, we backed up on the lymph, we backed up on the kidneys, backed up on everything. Send all the water you can down to the bottle and give them diarrhea.
Yeah.
So now they get this diarrhea where it just tears them apart. Mm-hmm. And then the body gets exhausted.
Yep.
Gets dehydrated,
loses electrolytes.
And now it's back to jamming the waist up even more in that descending colon, all the way up to the splenic flexure, which is right here.
Yeah.
So now we've backed it up all the way here, all the way up to here.
Yeah. And that's the thing too with colitis. You'll notice like really thin pieces of poop will come out with colitis.
And colitis, my guys, like a ribbon.
Yeah, like so tiny. You think you're having a bowel movement. You say you might have one or two bowel movements. Well, I wouldn't say that with colitis. One bowel movement a day, but it's like just a little inchworm.
And spasm is slight inflammation. Colitis, now that we're looking at, it means a lot more inflammation because it's col means colon, itis means inflammation. It's not a disease. It means inflamed colon. It's not rocket science, guys. Oh my God, I've got colitis. I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, chill out, please. Just chill out. All right. Yeah, but I went to a doctor and he said he might have to cut it out. Well, that's all he does. He's a surgeon.
Job.
If you go to a surgeon, he's going to take a knife to you. If you go to a medical doctor, he's going to write a prescription for drugs. If you come to us, we're going to pull it apart and do the right things that the body's going to heal it. Okay?
It's all about logic. You have to really discern every action that you're doing, especially when it comes to your body and your health. If you're going into a situation with discernment and you're actually weighing out the options and making the logical choice, you're going to make the right choice. You're not going to go into it with fear and panic and go for the surgery.
Well, they do. They panic you. They panic. Make a decision now. Make a decision now.
But if you're in your breath and you're coming at it knowing that your body is what's going to heal you, they don't have power over you, and you're going to feel that change. You're going to feel a difference.
God only whispers, calm down before you lose something.
Yeah.
Lose a piece.
Yeah, and we don't need them going in with the surgery, especially in this area. Abdominal surgeries are the main cause of abdominal adhesions, and the medical system is going to tell you this.
Oh, wait a minute.
And they're going to tell you that the only way that they can fix their abdominal adhesions is through more surgery.
So what is the main cause of surgeries? Surgeries. Say it again. What is the main cause of surgeries?
Surgeries.
There you go. That's the main cause of surgeries.
Sounds like a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. So colitis just means inflammation of the colon, so you need to get that. So what are you going to do to get the inflammation down? What are you going to do to restore normalcy? Okay? So now once we get that, we can go to stricture. So we're going to take a look at the slide now that talks about stricture. With a stricture, so with colitis, you're going to get this really tight area, and you're going to back up all this waist. With a spasm, you just have a very tight, thinned out part of the descending colon.
Yeah.
But then with a stricture, you're going to get it on both ends. So you got a stricture here, really tight, a stricture here, and then you've got this bowel block here that's rotting out. And this is the perfect place for a tumor to grow.
And that's where we'll see it with our clients who come to us. It's always right in that last part of the descending colon in the sigmoid.
So just understand that you can reach 60% of all bowel cancers with the length of your finger. Okay? 60%. So we know that it's a stagnation, putrefaction, mutation issue.
It's all in the last stop before it comes out. So this is where it's been the oldest and sitting the longest is in this area. So of course that's going to have the most rotten, the worst of the bacteria and different pathogens and all those things just building up in that area. So makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does make sense. So now what we're going to do is we'll move on to the next one, which is called diverticuli. Now understand something. This is really good. So we know that 60% of the population over the age of 40 has diverticuli, and they don't even know it yet. So the only time that you know you have diverticuli is when you have diverticulitis. And that means diverticuli are now inflamed, okay? So, and the reason why we get diverticuli, if you take a look at the slide, is you get these outpockings, okay? So it's like these pockets that stick out, like a pimple, but a big pimple. And what's happening is the waist, we have what's called hostras. If you look at the slide, all the way, these pockets. And in those pockets, you get waste caught. And then that waste creates bacteria that eat away at the lining. And the lining gets weak. And then you get these, they're like capsule size. And they're sticking out the sides of your colon. Okay? And they're just full of hard poop. Hard, dried up poop that's eating away and eating away. So as soon as you start doing the daily cleansing tea, the tummy love, the black gold, and you get and go take a look at the perfect day. So here's the deal. Go look at the perfect day diet, and that's going to cause these diverticuli to pop out. That's going to cause the strictures to come down. That's going to cause the spasms to come down. That's going to cause the inflammation to die down. So you need to understand it's all about terrain, bringing back the balance again. So I want you, when it comes to the bowel, here's what I need you to look at. I want you to go read Spoiled Rotten. It's 1 day in the life and times of the meat and potato couple. Okay? Then I also want you to go and read The Domino Effect of Unhealthy Living. Okay? So those are the two most important things. And then go to the Perfect Day Guide, page 37. And look at page 37, the diet. And then that's the kind of diet that becomes a healing diet. And then if you want, you can call us up and get a perfect day consult. There's enough people here that do it. And when you do get a perfect day consultation from us, you don't pay again for life. No matter how often you talk to us, we're going to continually guide you along the way. So understand something. Would you like a coach? I have a coach. I've always had a coach. We always need to have a coach. So would you like to have a coach that's going to look after you so that you be the master of your body? So that's the big thing you might want to ask yourself. So getting back to the diverticuli, look at, believe it or not, these pockets that have the poop in them, they actually will go back in and heal with our protocol. Everything here will heal. Now, it may not look exactly like the normal. So this is what a colon looks like. But even if it looks like a racetrack, if we get rid of the inflammation, scar tissue formation, and bring back the proper tone, you'll never know. You'll say, wow, I've got the greatest poops in the world. I feel great. Your colon doesn't care about how it looks. It just cares about how it works. So you need to really understand that. That's really important. So let's move on. So now let's talk about a ballooned colon. So now what you see, if you can see the picture right now, if you take a look at that, you'll see that still it's down there in the last part of the large intestine, sigmoid area, right? Anyways, we got diverticuli there, and then that's the person that they have a poop maybe once every 3-4 days, and it comes out like this big chunk, right? Plop, and it's dry, and it goes hard, and it goes into the toilet, and it falls right to the bottom. There's no oxygen in it.
Usually there's cracks in it.
There's cracks in it. That's right. It's dehydrated. Then you'll have people that are going to the bathroom that have little rabbit pellets. Those people better watch out. They're headed for big trouble. That's more closer to I bet you if you've got rabbit pellets, you've probably got polyps. So you've got polyps. Now, what are polyps? Polyps are like warts growing in your large intestine, and they're fungus. They are there the same as if you had fungal problem. You've got tons of fungus in your bowel, and you've got low oxygen, and you've got a very putrefactive state. The lower the oxygen, the more chances are that you're going to grow polyps. Now, polyps will actually, they'll dissolve. Now, if you get somebody to cut that polyp off, it's going to bleed. You're going to get bacteria in it. You're going to have trouble. Don't be messing around with your large intestine. If you want to get a cut, you get a cut. I'm just telling my personal opinion. Do whatever you want. It's your bowel. Okay? But so we know that they're like warts in the large intestine. So we know that we would want to what? We'd want to do coffee enemas.
Yeah, 100%.
And we'd want to do the
daily cleansing.
We want to do the ultimate coffee enema.
So with the ultimate coffee enema, you will be using stainless steel enema bucket. Comes with the hose and everything that attaches to the end here. And then the S.A. Wilson coffee. And with the S.A. Wilson coffee, you can use anywhere from 1 to 3 tablespoons of the coffee with each enema.
Yeah.
And then you would do anywhere from 1 teaspoon to a tablespoon of the black gold. And then
all the instructions are in the Perfect Day manual.
And then you would add a teaspoon of tummy love to the completed mixture just to increase your good bacteria through the enema of your large intestine.
And I'll tell you, when you start doing these, the ultimate coffee enema, not just a coffee enema, but the ultimate, you wait till you see the energy you have. Wait till you see how the inflammation drops. Wait till you see the clarity that's in your mind.
It's amazing. And it's so different than just doing a regular coffee enema. The nutritional value that's in the black gold and the building of your good bacteria, you can feel the difference. You feel so energized, but you feel nourished.
Everybody
you don't
should
feel
be
drained
doing it.
at all.
Everybody should be doing it.
Yeah.
And just call us with your condition, and we can guide you even more, okay? And understand you can order it from us, or you can go on Amazon and order it. We don't care where you order it from. We just want you to be healthy and happy. Okay.
Exactly. That's all that we care about. And you do want to make sure, I just want to mention, because I do know people who just use regular coffee. This is the best kind of coffee for coffee enemas.
Why?
And it was formulated for coffee enemas. So the bean is a blonde color. It doesn't have a dark roast at all. So it's like a gold color. And there's more palmitic acid in it that helps with detoxifying the liver, gallbladder, and just increasing the peristalsis of your colon through that extra caffeine content.
Yeah, because blondes have more fun.
Yeah, we do.
There it is. So we want to really focus on the liver, and we want to focus on the colon. That's why we talk about the tummy love. We talk about the black gold, and we talk about the daily cleansing tea. If you guys just do these basic things, you're going to be like amazed at what's really truly going to happen.
Yeah, need to filter things out of our life so that we don't become the filter.
That's right. So let's move on. So we'll move on now to prolapse. So what is a prolapse colon? That's where your
transverse colon, which should be up here, drops down to by your belly button, or even lower on some people.
Well, you know, I've been to the mall, and
it's down here.
I've seen some people that we call it the elephant snout, where it's actually fallen down and out, and you can see it hanging down past their shirt.
Both flexures are down.
So the flexures are actually tore down. So if you take a look at the slide, and if you look at this slide, then what you're going to see is you're going to see where the flexures are still holding up here, but sometimes they'll even tear down, or one will tear down, and now you've got it all. So when you've got a prolapsed colon, understand you've got no tone. Okay, it is it can be spastic, inflamed, and no tone. Okay, and that is a dangerous situation. So I don't care how often you go and work out at the gym. You're not going to have tone in your muscles, no tone in your face. Things are falling down everywhere, and I mean falling down everywhere. When that falls down, everything falls down. And when that prolapsus falls down, what do you think it's doing? Okay, what do you think it's doing to how you poop? Remember something. So now, which should have been like this, it's now like this, which means when your poop comes in the cecum, it's got to climb all the way up, get around this U-tight corner, come down into the valley, down by your pubic bone, and then guess what? When it sits down here, don't tell me you're not absorbing that waste into your ovaries, prostate, uterus, fallopian tubes, and all the rest of it. I mean, it's a jungle down there. So now it's got to go down into the valley, then climb back up, take another U-turn, come down and then to come out.
Thank God it doesn't work just with gravity, or else we don't. Nobody would be pooping.
Yeah, but
it has its own peristalsis. You know what I mean?
There's no peristalsis with a
no,
prolapse.
but I mean, like, imagine if it just was gravity that took it up and around, and it would just be stuck there forever.
So peristalsis means, Abby says, a person, like, you ever see your baby? Your baby will start to suck or eat something and poop 2 minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a healthy colon. Okay? So I'm not saying that as soon as you start to eat, you got to go run to the toilet. But the reality is that after a meal, or what I do in the morning is I get up and I'll have a quart of water. That's it. I do the daily cleansing tea twice a day. I do the routine here, guys. I do. But after I drink the water, if I feel like I'm going to be a little bit sluggish, I just need to do a quart of water. That's it. You know, because, you know, you want to get those logs to the mill, right?
Yeah. Well, and water is our main food source. It's the most important thing, is it drinking structured fourth phase water, because our cells need water more than they need anything else, but they need the right water.
So anyway, so that poop, really hope it gets there. So you have to understand, there's where the putrefaction and rotting's coming in your lifestyle. That's why you've got the bad breath. That's why after you go to the bathroom, nobody wants to come into the bathroom, okay? That's why you're starting to really smell like pepperoni, right? And because it creates a real fungal situation within the body. That's why you'll have yeast infections, right? That's why you'll have sinus problems. I mean, what are you talking about? It's way up here. Yeah, because you're filling up from the bottom up, guys. You're filling up from the bottom up. All right? Yep. So now with that prolapsus, what do you think that's doing when it falls down? What do you think that's doing to your ovaries, your uterus, your prostate, your fallopian tubes?
Sandwiching them, just like we were talking about
your
before.
Your bladder. Yeah, so now it's your all that physical pressure, all that chemical pressure, you put them together and you got trouble in River City, okay? So now let's talk about other things. Let's talk about hemorrhoids. Well, you've got hemorrhoids because of constipation, and you've got hemorrhoids too because of grunting and groaning. I got to get it out. I got it. Right? So you're constipated, which means you're weakening the lining of the tissue in the lower part of your bowel. It's usually there. And the other thing is that because of the poop stagnating, it thins out the lining, and that's why you get a bulge, just like you get a bulge on a tire. And that's a hemorrhoid. You'll have internal, you have external, okay? And then if you've been pushing for a long time and constipated for 10 years, you will be using your diaphragm to push down, and eventually you'll push part of your stomach up, and that's called the hiatal hernia, which we can reverse in about 5 minutes. It's very painful, but we can pull that back down.
Totally.
At least you won't have to live with it. Okay, then you have what we call fistula, okay? Now, a fistula is where you've been constipated for so long, okay, that it's actually eaten a hole through your sigmoid. And with men, it can be dangerous because it'll go in and it'll infect the prostate area. But with women, the poop will actually go right through the hole into their vagina. And you know what? You're not going to like this, but it will rot your vagina out. So you may not believe this, but do you know how many women actually have a fistula and they don't even know it? Well, all you have to do is say, do I have a fishy smell? Do I have a putrefactive smell coming from my vagina? Do I have continual yeast infections? There could be a clue here. Okay. Now let's talk about a fissure. Now, a fissure is where you've had colitis. And remember when we talked about earlier? And it's around just before you come to the sigmoid, and it's blocked off. That waste drips, right? Because it's watery, but because it can't move and come out, it drips down this chemical liquid. And as the chemical liquid comes down to your anus, it's like acid ammonia. And it actually causes a crack in your anus. So when you poop and it's harder, it opens it up and it bleeds. And you can feel the cut. And it's not a pleasant thing. Okay? So these are all the things that happen. And all of these can be reversed. Look at, surgeons are going to want to cut something out. Pharmacies and pharmaceutical doctors are going to want to sell you drugs, and drugs don't heal. Okay, you need to, if you want to get healed, get healed. If you want to numb things out, go to them. That's the deal. So it's not about right or wrong. It's just you need to make choices. And we're giving you a choice.
Totally. And that's what this is all about here. We're going to start talking about here soon all of the therapies that you can do at home to ensure that you have the healthiest abdomen and pelvis of your life. And that involves just really simple tools and techniques that you really don't have to lift a finger for.
Yeah, so what we're going to try to understand here, and people don't get this, but this area has been under attack more than any other area. You cannot have a knee problem. You cannot have an ankle problem. You can't have a hip problem. You can't have a spine problem. You cannot have headaches. You cannot have sinus problems. You cannot have a hearing problem. You can't have an eye problem. Okay, well, blue light's not great for you. But in most cases, you can't have any problems if you would have looked after the abdominal core, all right, and the pelvis. If you look after these two things, they look after the whole body. And that's the end of it. We're going to come back and we're going to show you how to do that right now, okay? Thank you. All right, so now let's talk about unleashing the power to heal. And the power to heal, you're going to find that where?
In your belly button. The most important button you'll ever push is the belly button. So we have our belly button healing kits, and these are the wands that it comes with.
And the little belly button buddy.
Yep, the little buddy is to protect your belly button, because if it wasn't on, it would just be a little harder, and it can hurt your belly button if you aren't used to doing it.
And just know this, that some of you out there, you'll just be able to just go this deep and go, oh, I feel pain. That's because you're ready to blow. Okay, that means that the good bacteria in your body have gone bad. Okay, how's that? Okay, it means that you have inflammation. You've got adhesions in your whole abdominal cavity, like scar tissue growing, sticking your small intestine with your large intestine, actually causing things not to be able to move properly. And this is where we get into trouble. Okay, so understand what we want to do is out there in society. What are they teaching you? They're teaching you that you've got to be alert. You've got to be on your guard. At any corner, there could be a terrorist. Something's going to go wrong. We've got to always be on our guard. And understand, when you're always on your guard, that means that you are dripping adrenaline and cortisol into your body on a continual level, creating these adhesions, creating crystallization, scar tissue formation, and the pulling of calcium from your bones. So they want you to always be terrorized, because the more terrorized you are, the more you're going to be tearing your body apart, and the more money you're going to have to spend, because you're going to be in a hell of a mess. And what we're here to do is to tell you to take back your life, calm down. We're going to teach you about connecting to your breath. We're going to teach you that when you start playing with your belly button, you're going to unleash the most powerful healing chemicals in the world faster than anything else you can do, just by doing this.
Totally. So they want to keep you in a sympathetic state, but we're here to show you how you can get into a parasympathetic state. And
stay there.
Yeah, and this is the only state where we can heal. A sympathetic state is that fight or flight response where we're always in fear or terror, like we might feel like we're under attack. So the parasympathetic state is that state of relaxation where we're going to be getting our daily dose of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. So our belly button is the number one button to push to get into that parasympathetic state.
And here's the other thing. When you're in a sympathetic state, you're in a contractual state, which means that you're pushing your blood supply from your abdomen to your pelvis out to your arms and legs. Every time that you are in a sympathetic state and you're sitting down and you're not running from a dinosaur or a tiger, then the acid is going in and it's eating your body away. This is why we're in a big mess. And remember something. 75 years ago, we would have 3 traumatic moments a month. We now have 17 a day, and 99.9% of them are all made up in our head. That's what they've done to us. So understand, we need to really get a program where we get connected to our breath, because unless you're in the present moment, you're not in a parasympathetic state. Unless you're in the present moment, you are not creating. You are destroying yourself. Unless you're in the present moment, you'll never make proper decisions. You'll be reacting instead of taking proper massive action to heal your body or to help your family. And every time you react, that's when you cause troubles, and you find yourself having to apologize for things that people you've hurt or things that you broke, especially your own self. So we want to teach you, because the parasympathetic main trigger is the belly button. And when you use the Lionheart breathing and you trigger these two things and you start learning how to do this process, then you're going to rewrite a new program. Wouldn't it feel great if you felt safe with yourself, your life? Or do you, and you know what? You can say, well, I don't feel too bad. Yeah, but guess what? How much are you connected to your breath and know you're breathing? And how often are you smiling? And we know that the majority of the population only experiences joy 2% of the day. You can't be in a parasympathetic state.
No, you can't at all. You're in a
All right.
sympathetic state if you're constantly in that state. So we're going to start by setting this down, because I'm going to check in with myself and see how my stretching is, because with belly button therapy, we're not only going to get that daily dose, because we produce serotonin and dopamine from our gut first and foremost. So we're dumping 70% of our serotonin and 50% of our dopamine by stimulating the belly button. We're also raising our core body temperature by 1 to 2 degrees. And when we do that on a consistent basis, dis-ease can't live in the system. So important. And then, of course, for pain and inflammation, it is incredible. So that's why I'm going to start the stretch, because we're going to notice areas where we're tighter, things are a little bit more creaky, or we might notice a little bit of cracking going on. After we do the belly button therapy, we're going to check in with the same stretches, and we're going to notice way better range of motion, at least 25%. And we're going to notice that those areas where it was tight or creaking aren't going to be as painful. So,
and understand that your hormones move at lightning speed. That's why you're going to see that we're going to do the belly button therapy for what, 3 to 5 minutes?
Yep.
And we're going to have 25% more stretch in our body. You'll have more stretch in that 5 minutes than you would get in 45 minutes to an hour of yoga. Now, we're not telling you not to do yoga, are we? We're trying to tell you that in a New York minute, in lightning speed, you can bring yourself into a parasympathetic healing state, a state of joy.
Totally. So we're going to start by stretching our arms. So we'll just do a nice little check-in, see how tight our shoulders are. And I'm already going to get connected to that Lionheart breathing, so that way I'm already ready when I start the belly button therapy. So that's the 6 seconds in through the nose, holding for 1 second, and then exhaling for 7. So,
and understand something, you may not know this, but when you do that 6 seconds in, that's enough to expand your chest that it actually tickles the ends of the fibers of your vagus nerve, and it triggers the hormones. So the breath and the belly button. So, play with both. Get your breath going, get your belly button pushed, and turn it on.
So I notice my shoulders are tight. So I've been doing a lot of deep tissue this past couple weeks with our course going on. So that makes sense. So I'm going to now just touch my toes and see how far I can go. And I'm pretty flexible, so I can touch my hands to the ground and just breathe into the stretch to get yourself relaxed. The more you relax yourself during the stretch, the more relaxed you'll be once you start doing the actual belly button therapy.
So and remember the Lionheart breathing. You want it when you're stressed. You want it throughout your day. Even if you could every 5 minutes have a little bell go off on your phone to remind you to check in with your breathing so that you actually know you're alive.
And just stretching the quads. Basically just checking major muscle bellies and areas for tightness. So of course we're going to feel it in our hips. Most people have tight hips. I'm going to stretch my sides. See how far down I can go. Noticing a little bit of cracking in my back. A little bit of creaking and cracking. All right, so we're good to go. I know where all my areas are that I need to pay attention to when I do the stretch again. So we're going to start by stimulating the belly button. So let's first get into that breathing. So 6 seconds in. Holding for the 1 second. And exhale.
And understand, when you start this, you can go as slow as a snail if you're already tender, but don't give up on yourself. And every day do a little bit more. And that's the reality, take action, okay?
Yeah. So we're going to start by going straight into the belly button. So I'm going to come on an angle so you guys can really see. And you want to get a deep pressure. Of course, you're going to start off lighter, baby steps. We don't want to go too deep at the beginning. But but you do want to work your way to a deep pressure. Like I've been doing this for a long time now, so I can hit my spine when I do this and it doesn't cause me any pain.
And stay connected to your breath and just enjoy it. Okay, and like I said, just go to the point of, okay, it feels a little tight. I'm not going to go past that. This is not supposed to be torture. And eventually you're going to get there.
Yeah. And I'm kind of moving it around, trying to see if there's little angles I can play to get into different areas, feel different things. And then we're going to come on an angle downward. So first we were going straight in. That's step 1, straight in. Step 2, we're coming on an angle. So you can see this is almost straight up and down. We're coming into the belly button still, but we're trying to get right at that cecum, which is the pouch at the start of the large intestine. So we're coming into that right hip. So we're really trying to get under there to stimulate the large intestine, get that cecum.
And you're angling it down to the cecum.
Yeah, so you can see it's angled down like this, straight, and then from the side, this is how it's angled to get under that.
Yeah, so you're
Just like so.
angle. Yeah, so you're going to angle down to your cecum.
Yeah. So it's on a slant to the side and slanting upwards.
And you might feel a pull up around your stomach area, up around your solar plexus or your spleen area. Don't worry about it. You're not going to injure yourself. And guess what those are? Those are adhesions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're just
so when
pulling
you feel
those
a
adhesions
pull
apart.
anywhere here, meanwhile, I'm here at the belly button, but I feel a pain down here, or I feel a pain over here. Those are adhesions, and you're going to be gently taking those because you want your intestines to be sliding together, not sticking together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also with this, how I was saying how I've been doing this for a long time, I can actually touch my spine. I was mentioning earlier how I have that knot right around this area. So even doing this belly button therapy has offered me such relief in that one spot that just is so tight. And it's making it a lot easier for the therapists who are working on me with the deep tissue techniques and non-surgical techniques that we have, just because I'm daily working at it to soften and loosen everything up. So it's not only good for your abdomen health, but your spine health too. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to angle up. So same thing, how we were angled down like this. We're doing it this way now. And on an angle towards the hepatic flexure, right rib cage. So you can see here, angling up. So this is step 3. And you can even, when you're doing step 3, coming through the belly button to the hepatic flexure, angling it a little bit to your side to even get your ascending colon, just get everything moving. We can get lots of gas trapped here. We can get the poop having difficulty time traveling up to get across that transverse colon. So the more we stimulate this area, we're going to encourage all that poop to come and move.
And you might feel a little bit of a pain, and it could be just the small intestine and adhesion letting go from another part of the small intestine. Don't let that bother you.
You have to
just
remember,
relax.
It's like 30 feet of guts just pushed in here. So we're going to have some little knots and twists and adhesions and things sticking together. It's just a part of it.
Feel good about it.
Yeah.
And know that you can't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Okay?
When you feel
You'd be
those...
surprised how many people call us all the time. Okay, well, what are the side effects? What are the negatives?
Because they've been brainwashed.
They've been brainwashed.
To all those, prescriptions.
Don't touch yourself, and definitely don't touch anybody in the family. Just everybody suffer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all those big pharma commercials brainwashing over the years.
Yeah.
Okay. So after we do step 3, which is the hepatic flexure area, we're now going to come straight up towards your sternum. So the sternum is right here. And we're angling it up still in that same downward angle, but it's just straight up. You can see I don't have an actual tilt on either side for this one. And this is stimulating the transverse colon.
I had a surgery in the lower pelvic area, and when I started doing this, it was like years later, and believe it or not, I could feel exactly where the operation was, and it probably took about maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Right? And then I also realized I needed to go in there and get some deep tissue, right, to release that knot.
Yeah. And I would feel it when we come down towards the bladder because of past bladder infections. That's where I would feel it. It'd feel like that same burning sensation from a bladder infection. Doesn't happen anymore, though.
So, yeah, come straight up. You can angle it, but just make sure, like me, I like it right up.
Yeah.
I like to pull that right up because I want to feel like I'm pulling that cord right from my groin right up.
See the angle. We're not coming straight in like we did first. we're angling it up because we want to stimulate that part of the colon.
Now you can do this laying down in bed.
Yep.
Okay, just understand that. So I'll do it. I do it every morning. I'll do my Lionheart breathing first thing, and I'll do my gratitudes, and I'll do this. And at nighttime, I'll do this before I go to bed. Why? Because you'll sleep like so much better.
Yeah.
Start your day in a parasympathetic state. End your day in a parasympathetic state.
You're going to have a much calmer life, and that's what we all want. Everybody's living in such panicked, anxious lives today.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Exactly. Next one. So step 5, we're coming up towards the splenic flexure, left rib cage. So same way that we did the hepatic flexure, we're just coming up the
And adjust
other
your
angle.
hands like I do. See how I adjust them? One here, one here.
And then angle, and that's what it looks like from that side. And we just stimulate working up. So this is really good for any strictures, colitis, spasms,
Polyps.
all the things we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
All the colon problems.
Even ovarian problems.
Yeah.
Ovary, uterus.
All comes from the
prostate.
large intestine. Like we were saying, the mother of all organs. Once that's taken care of, everything else falls into place.
It's funny how we think we can just sit on the side of the street and wait for someone to save us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get that whole splenic flexure, playing little angles, really trying to get in there and open up that tissue as
Look
best
at how much
we can.
movement we have.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
you
is
don't
what
need to
you want
just.
after a while.
Some people are just like this when they start, and that's totally
and that's
fine.
okay. That's okay.
But try to work up to that pressure. Get in there. That's when you're really going to notice that 25% increase in your stretch,
Yeah.
and you're going to get the true release of those hormones that you really want. And then step 7, if I'm counting correctly, we're angling down towards our sigmoid left hip, and again, angling it up like that, and then on the angle down. And this is the area of the constipation.
This one's the tighter one for me today.
Yeah, this is,
And I'm feeling it right there.
yeah. I was feeling it on this side for me.
I can also feel it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Right in, on your chest?
Yeah, I think it might because of the dairy I did.
That'll do it.
Did it. After I had that meal,
Scary
and I didn't know they
dairy.
put dairy in it. I could actually, my breathing was like heavy
Yeah.
that night.
It's a scary
Talk about
feeling.
a wet day. Okay. Well, we do know that dairy is the most inflammatory food, and it's the main food that causes cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Don't
okay,
go,
Corky,
don't go near
have
it.
another slice of cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was poisoned with dairy the other day, eating out as well.
Yeah, you got to.
And I was like vegan. I was very adamant about that, and they still put cheese in it. And I took care of business when I was done. Well, I caught it, and I stopped eating it, and then went crazy with the Digest Complete. We were talking about this earlier, so just so anybody knows if this happens to you, Digest Complete, I probably took 20, took 3 HCl, took a lot of tummy love, a lot of fulvic acid.
And she waited for the chef to come out that night, and she attacked him.
Yeah, got my revenge. No, no, and then seriously, I did a coffee enema, took a lot of tea, and I didn't have a reaction like I normally had,
Now,
which would have been really bad skin problems for like 2 months.
And not just that, but you might think that we're overreacting and that we're health nuts. Well, guess what? No, we're awake. Okay? And we know what feeling vibrantly healthy and alive is.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, the majority of the people watching this, they do not.
No.
And I am not knocking you, so understand that.
Yeah.
It's just that it's your God-given right to have it, but you're going to have to claim it.
Totally. And I know for myself, dairy was one of the biggest things that was taking my health down and was causing some of the biggest problems in my life and health. So for sure, I was going to take major action to not let that happen.
Yeah. And you know what? And here's the deal. You're going, wow, if they're so healthy, why do they react so much? Well, because we are so healthy.
Exactly.
When your body takes a poison, it goes, get it and stop it. When you do the dairy, your body goes, well, you might as well
another
keep
day.
it. You might as well keep it because it's all they're going to give us
Yeah.
anyways. And
Yeah.
they don't even know they're in pain.
Totally.
Right. Okay.
All right. Step 8, we're going to come straight down towards the urethra bladder. So this is really good.
Yeah. And
Stimulate
that's when
this
you really
area.
want to get right into that belly button.
Yeah.
And really trigger.
And see that downward angle? We're not straight in like that first step. Down. really stimulate. This is so good for the pelvis.
You have no idea how much money you just saved.
Yeah.
Yeah, on everything. Digesting and surgery and...
Yeah. Supplements.
I'll tell you, this little puppy here will get you pregnant. Okay? That's what... You heard what I just said. Okay? All right?
He's magical. Just kidding. All right. And then you can just go to any other area.
Bad buddy.
Bad buddy. Okay. After you do the bladder urethra, you would come straight back in and just finish it off. And then you can go to any other area that you felt like had that stickiness or you just needed to get in there a little deeper, then go at it again.
And she did mean stickiness.
Yeah. And I'm going to come over here because I know that I have that knot right there. And I'm just going to keep working at my belly button.
Talking about stickiness, you know, the other day I got a phone call and this lady goes, I don't know, I must have did something wrong. And I go, she goes, I started leaking from my belly button. And I go, was it sticky? And yeah, and that was because she has so much inflammation in here. It's a belly button. You know, it's not
like mucus like an ear.
Yeah,
or like wax
like
in an ear.
And I said, well, there you go. Did you start the tea? Just made it. I said, start drinking it. And I said, that's going to come down, but keep doing it. Just keep doing it. That's okay. It's going to come out.
Just like any other hole.
That's
like
right.
Nose hole, ear hole, belly button hole, mucus.
Yeah.
All right.
I told her if she did it long enough, her bum would fall off. No.
Well, you never know.
Okay. All right.
Now that that's done, we can check back in with those same stretches. So I'll just quickly do that, and I'll let you guys know what I feel. Way better in the shoulders. Or both shoulders now.
Yeah, you can tell. Can you tell? Easier.
Yeah. Like tension. There's still a little bit. I still feel it. I need to get some deep tissue work in my shoulders, but hardly at all.
Yeah, we all did last week. We all worked like 12, 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because we had courses. We still do. We still have the courses on, but we had
we do treatments after.
4 families here.
Yeah.
4 families we were treating. Plus, we had 13 people in our course.
So I can get it. I mean, my hands are already touching the ground, but I can go way lower.
Yeah. You see this? I mean, the proof is in the pudding, guys. We're not exaggerating here. Come and get some. You know, how expensive is it?
Well, and it's like
we're right on our website. You know,
not gonna lie, over a belly button wand. It's not like it's a, no, it's amazing.
We're gonna teach you how to unleash things at the most inexpensive but powerful way.
Yeah,
that's our game. Just like our supplements, our supplements. Oh my goodness,
that's crazy.
See, there it is. All our supplements are based on frequency, not what's in them, because what's in them doesn't necessarily mean it's going into you. Did you know that everything you eat and drink leaves the body? The only thing that stays behind is the frequency. So do you think, now do you understand why everything we do has got to be high charge, high frequency? Because it's always about that. And it's got to be nano. You'll always hear us talking nano.
Yeah, nano.
It's not how much is in the capsule, it's how much gets in the cell.
Yeah, that's what's important. We can take as much stuff as we want, but if it's not actually getting down to a cellular level, then it's not doing its job.
So just think, if you come home and you're stressed out, okay, go ahead and eat. See how that's going to digest. Go in here and just say, hey, guys, I'll eat in 3 minutes. Go in here and just get into your breath and lightly just do this, and you'll put yourself in a parasympathetic state. And now the money you're going to spend on that meal is not going to go to waste. You're actually going to digest it because you just put yourself in the state of healing.
Totally.
Okay? So you can't be bun on the run and think you're going to digest anything.
No, definitely not. That's one of the biggest rules to eating is never eat in a hurry, never eat when you're panicked, or never eat when you're in an anxious state.
So if you got to call your mother-in-law, or father-in-law, or call anyone else, or do something like call your job, or do anything, just connect to your breath, put some soft music on maybe, do a little bit of belly button therapy, and guess what? And then go, I got this. All right.
All right. We got that. Now we're going to show you how to get into a really awesome squat.
All right.
Let's do it. Okay. So our pelvis activation squat. Is that good? Okay. So I will demonstrate it and you're going to talk through it.
I'll talk through it. Okay. First of all, we added this into all our therapies, and we added this a long time ago. I've been doing this for years, and I'm going to tell you something. when they gave you the toilet, they took away your most powerful attribute, and that's squatting. Okay, if you had to sit down and squat 2 to 3 times a day to do something, right? Especially females would squat even more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and why did God create females that they don't stand up when they pee, that they squat more? Because when they have time to have a baby, they're ready. Mm-hmm. Open. Boom.
Oh, and
open.
that's the natural state to actually have a baby. And it was man and doctors who put women on their back to make it more comfortable for the doctor to deliver them.
No, it actually was because of Henry VIII. He had a peephole, and he was actually watching his wives and the birth coming out of the birth canal, and that's the true story.
Oh, it goes even deeper.
Henry VIII, that little sneak, okay?
I heard
little
a lot of things about him.
Peephole, and he's right there. That's it.
All
so
right.
that's why you're on your backs today, because of Henry.
Henry.
Okay. All right. So anyways, so once they took away the squatting to go to the bathroom, they took away opening you up like a flower. Okay. So that's it. And that's why women don't stand when they pee. They were meant to squat at least a half a dozen times a day to keep the pelvis open. And that would keep it healthier down here for the baby, because it's called loving in the oven. You know, got to keep it healthy in there.
Yeah. Keep it open and lots of room in there.
So that's why during the day, if I'm at a meeting or I'm somewhere, or even I go to the airport, I just go like this, and I'll come down and I'll squat. I'll squat. If I'm at the airport waiting, or a bunch of people are talking, or I'm at the mall, I'll just do it. Nobody knows what I'm doing, but I'm actually doing that because you can stretch your back out, open everything up, get the circulation going. This is your root chakra. Okay, remember something, everybody. Your pelvis is like the fireplace right here. Okay, that's where the heat's generated. That heat then goes to your cossax, which goes into your spinal fluid, and then it goes up, and then it comes up the spine, goes into your brain to create the energy for your brain, and then it comes back down. And it just keeps going like this. Did you know your spinal fluid carries more light than anything else in the human body? And even your blood cells, they are ferry boats of light. Did you know your mitochondria won't work without light? So it's that light, okay, that you get going up your spine to your brain to make everything work, okay? So,
all right.
Yeah.
So we're going to show how to do the squat. So I'm going to first start with my legs in facing out position. And I want to get my foundation first and foremost in the right order. So I want my shoulders back and my back nice and straight, my sternum up, and then a slight smile on my face, chin up. So we have really good posture getting into the stretch or into the squat. So I'm going to start with my hands in prayer. If it's hard for you to come like this, you can always come forward if that's easier. I'm going to start like this. And we just squat down. Inhale when you're coming down, holding for that 1 second, and then your exhale is when you're in your position. So I'm just going to move my feet out to the side more because I want to open my pelvis up even more. So getting a better turnout.
Yeah, if she was on the floor, she'd even go wider, but we want to show this and understand something. As she's breathing, instead of the hands facing forward, they're going to come up and the arms are going to go out, bringing the knees wider and wider. So you want to put your elbows right in here where she has them. See where they are? And
I'm pushing my elbows into my inner parts of my knees to really open it up and pushing firmly in my palms.
Please don't think you have to be here right now. Okay, so when you go to do this squat, if you've got a table and you can only go that far, go that far. Okay, and then hold it as long as you can before cramping, and then come up and then relax, and then do it maybe 6 times that day. That's it. And then find something lower, like a coffee table next time. And then next time, just put your hands on the ground like this. Okay, so then you'll put your hands on the ground. So step by step, you'll get here. So understand that, right? So table, coffee table, hands on the ground. Okay, and then eventually we'll open up. Okay.
Baby steps are the key to healing.
Yeah, and when you decide to jump 2 steps, and you didn't perfect the first step, and you trip, that was your subconscious saying, "I don't want you moving forward in life. Anything new, I'm going to keep you here. You're not dead yet.
All right, so I'm going to come out of this squat and I'm going to show you the more advanced positioning, and it's just an adjustment with our feet. So I'll stand up and then I'm going to bring my feet closer together. You want to bring them closer together because it makes it more difficult. So if it's too hard to have them shoulder width apart, make them a little wider. Do whatever you need to do to make sure you can get into the squat. And same thing with our positioning, shoulders back, slight smile on the face, make sure your chin is up. And as I squat down, this one is more difficult, like I said, so my heels are going to lift up. And as I breathe into the squat, because we're holding it for that good 2 to 4 minutes, as I'm breathing into it, my heels will come down to the ground. So
and understand it's a little harder for her too. This is just a foamy, so it's giving her some juggling room. You've got solid ground, okay? And if it's your first time doing it, make sure you do it on a rug, okay, or something, so that if you lose your balance, it's going to be easier, okay? But just be easy on yourself and understand, perfect this. It doesn't cost you a nickel, and it is everything. And I want you to do this, and once you get going on it, I want you to get doing it 1 minute every hour until it becomes so, well, whenever you can do it without being crazy, but 1 minute an hour even, okay? So we'll do meetings here. I'll be on the phone, and I'll just go, yep, it's time, right?
Make the most of your time.
Yeah, make the most of your time, make the most of your day. You know what? People do not realize that all the things that we're doing while we're talking to them. We are staying connected to our breath, staying connected to our heart. Okay? You're allowed to feel good. Okay?
And that's the squatting.
That's the squatting.
And I don't recommend doing it on something like this because it is squishy and it's going to give you a little bit harder time balancing. But for the demo purposes, we just want it to be lifted higher up so you could see it better. But like Dr. Wolfe said, carpet to have a little bit of cushion under your feet is nice than on a hard floor.
Yeah. And just know this, you got this. You got this.
And it's so amazing. Like that was hardly any time at all, but I can feel how much more open I am all through here. So
how would it feel to be at any age, even 80 or 90, and just go, yeah, boom. Right? That's it. So, I'm 63, and guess what? There's people that are, let's reverse that, 36, that could never keep up with me. Energy-wise, flexibility, health-wise. Both my parents passed away before they were 55 with cancer. Okay, most of my relatives are sick. I don't even know any that aren't sick. So that's the bottom line. So don't embrace sickness, okay, ever again. Okay, that's what is being sold out there right now. All right, so never compare yourself to anyone else. Don't look at anyone else when you go to do yoga. Don't look at anyone else when you go to do the squats. Look at yourself, and every day lovingly push yourself forward and say, I got this. I was created by God Almighty, and I got this. All right.
And the only competition, you basically said this, but the only competition you should ever have is with yourself and just trying to be a better person than you were the day before, continually improving, whether it be 1%, 2%, 3% a day that you make yourself a bit better. You're going to be...
in a playful way. Be competitive.
Yeah, totally.
Never put yourself down.
Yeah.
And know that I'm unlimited. Whatever I can do today, I can do better tomorrow. Yeah. Never limit yourself.
But never compare yourself to somebody else. That's the biggest thing.
Old age, forget it. It's scar tissue. It's calcium displaced, and it's crystallization, and it's a terrible attitude where you've just limited yourself by limiting beliefs, okay? And remember something. If everyone lived like Abby and I, okay, all the pharmacies would have to close. The supermarkets would have to close. The medical doctors would have to stop. The hospitals would have to close. There would only be one little center for people that if they got into a car accident or
emergency
care, everything would close. So you decide if you want everything to close means you're going to have to open up. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. And next we're going to show you how to do the pelvic activation, pelvic expander.
A pelvic expander. Doc of Detox pelvic expander. We'll be back with you. And here we go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our show. And we are now going to be talking about our Doc of Detox pelvic expander. And this is one of the most amazing things I've been doing for myself, and I know how amazing it's been for all of our clients, because the transformation in people's abdomens and pelvises has been insane from doing this.
That's right. And guess what it takes? You can either make this or you can buy it, okay? And we sell these, and they're made right in the United States, and they'll be sent to you. And if you want, just give us a call at the office.
Yep.
Okay. Or you can call Sileo Wellness for the pelvic expander, okay?
SileoWellness.com. So it's SILEO wellness.com.
And before we start here, I just want to say this, okay? We showed you the pelvic squat.
Yeah.
We showed you the belly button therapy. And we're going to show you this. Those three together, okay, are the most important things that you can do. They're the holy grail of healing. Understand this. You'll be laying here and doing the pelvic expander, and you'll be doing the Lionheart breathing, and you've warmed yourself up to it by doing the belly button, by doing the squat, by doing this. Do you know that this is more important than going to a gym? Did you know that this is more important? And when you do those three things, there is no yoga teacher that can compare to what this is going to do. And I'm not telling you not to do yoga. I love yoga. I go to yoga at least 4 times a week. I'm not going to stop. But the reality is, this is in your home. What does it take? I'm so tired. I just feel so stiff, so tired. Anybody can lay here and go belly button therapy, get down, practice your squat a teeny bit, get on here. And when we show you what this is going to do, okay, this is going to open up your pelvis, your ovaries, your uterus, your bladder, your prostate.
Your abdomen, your legs.
To open up your coccyx, to open up your hips. It's going to help to rebalance your spine. Okay, have we done enough yet? And with this, you have to understand, what do we do? Even in yoga, even when we go to anywhere to work out, we push through the pain. Well, this, you're going to breathe into the pain, to let it go, to open up all your tissues and to bring them open so the blood will flow, the lymph will flow. And guess what? That invisible part of you, that's the most important part of you, your energy will flow again. Okay.
And it's honestly so amazing as you do it, because you're breathing into the pain, and your legs kind of might go a little tingly, or you might feel a little numbness. And as you just continue to breathe through it, you feel just this like energy moving through your legs, and it's like, and it goes away.
And it doesn't matter. You can have a neck problem. You can have a spine problem. You can have a hip problem. You can have a sciatic problem. You can have endometriosis. You can have a bowel problem. You can have a liver problem. And you can even have a heartburn. And this is going to help all of that. You think I'm kidding? Well, guess what? First of all, we don't make any money when we sell these. Second of all, you're the one that's going to take action and change your life. So that's the reality. So there can be no sales pitch behind this, no other reason for telling you except to open up the most important place, and that's the abdominal muscles and your digestive tract and your pelvic girdle, which is hormone central. Let's show them.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to position myself so that my bum is all the way to the edge of the table, and I'm going to kind of straddle the board at the beginning, because I'm going to bring one leg up, and then my one leg is going to stay down. So you want to get as close to it as possible, and then we'll lift the one leg up in the air, and then we have this strap too.
So what you want to do, okay, is you want to have your leg right up against the board. If you can't, that's okay. That's the goal, though. Then you want to then have your leg here, and you don't have to worry about it at the beginning, but there can be a little bit of space, but eventually you want flat all the way up. And if your knee is even bent like this, the most important thing is your butt is right to the board. Butt to the board.
Yeah, so you just saw myself, I had to adjust, so I pulled from the table and made sure my butt was all the way to the board.
Now, if the knee comes out like this and back in, don't worry about it. Take it to the point that you feel pressure in here, okay? And then you get into your Lionheart breathing. So it's 6 seconds in, hold for 1 second, 7 seconds out. And every time you do that, I want you to have that breath and breathe into the knee. Even though the breath is happening in your nose, I want you to picture it in your knee. Where's consciousness? It's in 50 trillion cells, and 50 trillion cells are 500 trillion bacteria. Consciousness is everywhere. You could actually picture that your brain is in your large toe, and it would actually be there because it's everywhere. And I want you to put consciousness into this knee, and when you breathe out, you can feel the knee straightening and letting go. And you're going to keep doing that. And then you're going to readjust this strap as it goes in and in and in, and expect this. We will usually do this for 15 minutes to even up to an hour. It's all about patience. It's all about letting go. But most people will do it about a half hour, right?
Yeah, I love doing a half hour each leg.
Yeah.
That's my favorite number right now. And then we are showing the other leg. I have it on a footstool right now because the amazing thing is not only is this offering such an amazing stretch for this leg up in the air, I can feel it in my knee and the backs of my leg into my pelvis, but when I'm able to lower this leg to the ground, it opens up in a different way because it's like this.
So now you're told that you have, you might have disc problems, L4, L5. You might have to get them fused. Well, that's not true. I don't believe that stuff. It's very rare that anybody ever needs surgery. So, and you know what? I challenge anybody on that. Okay, the body heals itself. The body will repair bone. It will repair cartilage. And when they say that you're bone on bone, they don't know what they're talking about. The actual tissue has been calcified and dehydrated, and we can turn that around. Your body's amazing. Now, so when you start, if you're really stiff in here, like you feel like brittle like a board, okay, like most people, then you're going to do what Abby just said, straight leg, and you're going to put it on a stool.
So I have it on the lower part, but even if it's too much for you, even on that,
put it on that
part.
part.
The higher one.
And
totally
then guess
fine.
what? And then eventually, what we're going to do is we're going to take the stool away and then let your leg go. So now she's just going to hang her leg. So now it's the weight of her leg. And keep connected to your breath. You're not going to rip and tear anything. You know when you rip and tear? When you go into a sympathetic fight-flight because you contract your legs and your arms, don't you? When you're relaxed, they're relaxed. So it's just stay there, breathe into it. Now here's the deal. People going to the gym, even people doing yoga, what do? They'll hold a stretch for how long? Maybe 5 minutes. We're telling you to hold it for 15 or what?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. And breathe into it, and there'll be no pain. You'll absolutely have no pain. Look, I do this, I do that. I put this 10-pounder on my ankle, okay, and I have no pain. If I've had a day where I've been really, and I haven't been connected to my breath, I can feel the stiffness just for the first few minutes. Okay? All right. So what we do when people first start, we take the first 15 minutes when they come to our clinic, and understand something. You can believe this. We do the belly button therapy, we do the squat with them, and we do this prior to
every treatment.
Every treatment we do. And that's why we roll. And then we teach people to start building this in their home. Bring health home. All right? So we turn on the light. So we're going to be here for 15 minutes. Okay? And then we're going to put them in the Avicen. So let me tell you about the light. The light will increase the microcirculation in the body by about 32%, 33%. That's the scientific part of it. When you shine it in the face, it's absolutely right away in every cell of the human body. This is a polarized light, the only one of its kind in the world. It's been out for almost 30 years. Nothing can touch this. Polarized light is the light that heals on all levels. Some people say red light, do red light, blue light, but we're talking about polarized. All right, and this has a fluorine lens that was developed by Tesla. You know Tesla? Nikola Tesla. And with a fluorine light, the light will actually travel into the bone even, okay? So we know that we're light energy beings, and we're going to lighten up our bodies, and we're going to feed our bodies what it needs, and that is light. You eat fresh and raw to get the light. Everything is about the light. The sun is your greatest light giver. Okay, now, the Avicen, the Avicen increases microcirculation in the human body 100% more than any other energy medicine device in the world. Did you get that? Okay, and you can put your money on this one.
It's amazing.
This here will actually increase microcirculation by 66% in the human body. Microcirculation takes up 76% of the circulation in the human body. The other part of that circulation is your veins and arteries. They're not as important. Because the veins and arteries, if you hear that they're in trouble, guess what? That means that the microcirculations, which is the small venules, arterioles, that actually go to your cells have shut down. Wherever you feel disease or inflammation in the body, that means you have a microcirculation problem. Now, whether you believe this or not, how do they tell how long someone's going to live and how healthy they're going to be? Do you want to know how? By testing microcirculation. It's the most accurate test today. And understand something. When you use like the Avicin, it will put you to sleep, put you in a parasympathetic state. This will do the same thing, but the Avicin, okay, will actually, let's say it'll grow your hair back. I know it's hard to believe. It will, your nails will grow twice as fast. Okay, you'll have to cut your nails. You will have the best sleeps of your life. And what it does is that there's a heating system in your palms, and it creates a certain vibration and a certain heat. And that heat and that vibration have to be flushed off somewhere. Where do you think it goes? It goes into those areas where the microcirculation has come down so much that that's why we call it dis-ease, because there's physical blocks there. This and this helps to go melt these physical blocks within the body. So take these two things and then do this from doing the belly button of squatting. This is why we win. We always win. We guarantee a money back that we are going to do more in your first treatment than anyone else has ever done in any other therapy combined. That's a big claim.
And as I'm lying here, this is the most relaxing, calming thing in the world. This light feels just like a kiss from God. And the mic, when this is on, it's not on right now, but whenever I do the Avicin, it honestly just, you go into the calmest state and you just could go to sleep, even in the middle of the day. It just is the most beautiful thing ever.
So here's the most powerful therapy I believe in the world, and you can do it at home for yourself. And make sure that, and know this, that if you go to any of our master trainers, you're going to see they have the same similar, close to the same similar setup. And why? Because it works. And that's the most important thing. All right, so what we do is the first 15 minutes, we're going to do with this leg up, that, and the other leg down. Okay, so let's say that now we're going to put the other leg up. We don't really have to show it. I think people get that.
Yeah.
You'll put the other leg up and you'll put the other leg down. Again, you may need the stool. Maybe you don't. And maybe you're good enough that you can put the weight on the ankle, right? So we do the first 15 minutes with the Avicin and the light. Then what we do, okay, is we do the last 15 minutes, all right?
So we're doing a full body, whole body stretch, and I have my fingers linked together, and then I'm making a point with my index fingers, little steeple, I guess. And you really want to try to relax and bring your shoulders down to the table. You don't want them lifted, but you don't want them up to your ears. Just like in yoga, whenever you do a pose, you want to drop your shoulders down.
And eventually, believe it or not, okay, like this shoulder is hard for me to come down, but it's coming more and more as time goes on. Your shoulders will touch flat, and even your arms will be flat. The more you do this, you will be able to just flatten right out, lengthen, strengthen, detox and tone. That's what we believe in.
Yeah.
And guess what? I don't have to go and lift heavy weights and do all this other stuff to be healthy and toned. I mean, that's... in the North American culture, we cause more damage with our exercise programs, and we're going to be teaching you all different types of things over time. You keep watching our videos, Abby?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be bringing more and more to you.
Things.
So now she's done this complete stretch straight. Now she's going to lean over. So 5 minutes straight up, 5 minutes now curved over. Then she'll do 5 minutes curved over to the other side.
And I'm using my hand and my arm to really open myself up against the side of the table.
What do you think that's doing to her whole spine? What do you think that's doing to her hips and everything?
And the hip flexors, your
oh my God, the hip
QLs,
flexors.
like, oh, it feels so good. Like, it's so tight in there, especially if we're like desk jobs, sitting all day, or even active jobs. Like, your hips take a brunt of it.
And if nothing else, if you're sitting all day, then you need to squat at least 1 to 3 minutes every hour if you want to keep your power.
And then you can just do it like a straight up Superman too if it's too hard for you to do this, because you're kind of pulling at your shoulders. So if somebody has really tight shoulders or frozen shoulder, then this might be hard for them to really hold this. So they might just need to relax their arms up.
And if you have a problem and there's a problem in your shoulder, a bad one, then you put a pillow back here and then your arms would be this high. You understand?
Yeah.
And just this much of a stretch. This is not about rip and tear, okay? And most of you are going to rip and tear because you're beef jerky, because you're dehydrated, crystallized, and calcified, okay? But it will go as we increase the flow, and then go lower, 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 put them together eventually, and you're going to be there. Step by step, this is how we do it, step by step, okay? All right? Gentle, baby, loving steps create the perfect day. Make sure you go to the Perfect Day Guide and take a look at our diet on 37 so that you can start reducing the inflammation. You women, go take a look. This is all in our Doc of Detox library, by the way. Women, please go to I Am Woman, and I will give you the whole story of what went on with your life, why you lost your feminine power, because you did. It got stolen from you, and why mankind has made you into a money machine. And I tell the whole story, and then we show you what you can do in that one. I Am Woman. Make sure everybody out there, if you've got problems in this area, abdomen, pelvis, you go and you read, okay, Spoiled Rotten, because that is the average all-American meat and potato couple, all right? And then also read The Domino Effect of Unhealthy Living, and that's going to show you that the colon is the holy grail and that how everything falls apart from there, okay? The other one you want to watch is Cancer is a Scar Tissue Issue, all right? And you're going to be able to see how you go from scar tissue, okay, in your joints, to fibroids in your breasts, in your pelvis, to tumors throughout your body. And it all started off with inflammation, crystallization, calcification, and scar tissue formation, all right? And then we have another one, and it's about the intelligence of the emotional mind and how you create inflammation in your mind first before you create it in your body. So you'll want to read these guides, and if you want to learn about these devices, and every one of these guides has videos, so you can read, or you can watch, or you can download the audio to your phones and listen to the audio. You'll find our energy medicine in the energy medicine guide in the library. Okay, so you can take a look at things like that. But there's lots of other things in the library. Abby, is there anything you'd like to say?
One other one that you could check out is Fasting for Perfect Health.
Oh, yeah.
And Braveheart, the 12 self-loving steps.
Right.
Those are very important, especially when you really get into it. The fasting can just fast track your health to where you want to be. So
fasting is the holy grail of turning on stem cells and
HGH, getting into the autophagy phase,
eating up anything you don't want in there. And guess what? And when you're ready to finally understand that totally loving yourself is the key to everything, then you want to go and watch the Braveheart 12 Loving Steps. And if you like that, then go and read the booklet. And if you think you can do more, I've got a 32-act course, okay, that'll take you probably about 33 days to do it if you're serious about doing it, okay? And you can have that free. Just go to braveheartfree.com. That's our gift for you to making it to the end of this video. How's that? Because it's only the beginning, girls and gentlemen. But you guys, you know what? You're a little bit more stubborn and you already know everything, so what the heck? All right. So when you're ready to open up your pelvis, you're going to have to open up your mind. Abby?
Well, I know I'm going to have the most parasympathetic evening of my life after this, so I hope you all do too. And I really hope you enjoyed the video and you learned a lot and you're able to take some really amazing tools from this and take action to get the health you truly deserve.
And understand something, if you just started here, make sure you check out our docu-series, right, Abby?
Yeah, our master class, which is absolutely amazing. We go through the medical cause and effect and treatment of every different condition you could think of. And then
Every different condition.
we talk about what we do. So we're just giving straight facts. This is what the medical system can offer you, and then this is what we can offer you. And then we talk about the different therapies we can do for each condition.
And tell them what it's called, our masterclass.
It's the A to Z Wellness Guide, and that is the access point for our first masterclass.
All right, so we hope you enjoyed it because it's all about A to Z, okay? So decide what you want, and we've put enough information in the library that you can go get it. Have a great day, and enjoy the rest of the videos.
If you're looking for life-saving and life